Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Trump's the president again, number 47. Today was the big day, inauguration day. He was sworn in. They did all the ceremonies, the pomp and circumstance, the whole thing. Question is, what's this mean for the world? To help us make sense of it all, Gail Robertson will join us on the other side of this.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are Maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, let's bring Gail in. Welcome back.
Hello, happy 2025.
Yeah, I guess it's been that long, hasn't it?
It's been a little bit, so
Yeah. Well,
great to be back, seeing all the Mavericks. Hello, everyone.
so today was the big day, and I'm very interested in your first reaction.
Well, my day started with a friend wrote this. She wrote to me, she said, the U.S. will have its first oligarchy. And I was like, really? Okay, let's give this some thought. So for anybody new listening, so I'm a recovering journalist. I did work in mainstream media. I've now, over the years, I've worked in marketing, done branding, worked with companies. But my background, for those that don't know, I was also a union activist at one point. So I've sort of sampled all different parts of life in terms of, the union, corporate world. And I've often said, though, I couldn't really run for politics because I'd probably get kicked out of caucus because there are things that I just think I would probably speak up about. And so I understand that sometimes things aren't as clear or as uncomplicated as we want them to be. And I see things in a more, complicated way at times. So in terms of today, that started off the day, and that got me thinking, because I said, well, wait a minute, first oligarchy, let's back that up, because, and I've since come to realize where that comment came from. When I started listening to a lot of mainstream media, that's all they were talking about. They use that word, that term so often. And, I look at it as, well, there are lots of rich people, billionaires that have supported both parties. I don't think this is exclusive to Trump or to the current Republicans. And, if we had media that could really assess and step back and analyze and look and go, okay, what do we think of having business people around the table? I also said to my friend, I said, the biggest eye opener for me was I ran a business. I had a bed and breakfast at one point, and it was probably the best experience to actually run a business, understand that, there's lots of ideals you may have about things, but running a business, you have to make money in order to keep running the business. You have to make money in order to pay staff. So That's my grand opening for how I saw today, how it started. It's depending where you're getting your media and news coverage from will have a great impact on how you saw the inauguration today.
Okay.
So that's my opening. So I don't know.
$270 million plus. I've heard 275, 277. That's a lot of money spent by one guy. In fact, I think it's unprecedented. We've had people spend like 100 million in the past,
Yeah.
but 270 million from one guy. I would say he's probably an oligarch.
Well, this is probably in terms of, though, I look at, I heard this actually. I think it was a Matt Taibbi interview that and Walter Kim, and they were talking. Do we want to know and see the faces of the billionaires, or we often don't know what's happening behind the scenes? And so, yeah, I guess I looked at it as, when I heard that oligarchy term, though, is who's supporting, who's in the background, pulling strings, providing support. I don't think this is unique to Trump. I think the difference is he has people at the table front and center. Obviously, someone like Elon Musk is, probably to him, that's pocket change. He could have thrown in that much money without even breaking a sweat. So,
Yeah, because he gets a lot of government money from government contracts to keep his companies operating.
well, if we want to go down that road of who gets government money and who gets I have seen this for myself. It all depends on, it happens. And again, I don't think this is unique to one political party. It is a concern I have, because I think we need better auditing, and we need to have an understanding of, if someone's getting government money, what is the audits? Like, there's a lot of people get money and you can't get any information on it.
Well, yeah, I think you're right. And I'm sure that now that they have Elon Musk in charge of the Department of Government Efficiency, and he's going to be keeping track of who gets the money and how much, I'm sure that he'll provide excellent oversight on that file, as he also takes government money. So, and
Yep.
I don't see any conflict of interest there whatsoever.
I think you're saying that a little bit with tongue in cheek, right? I think with all of this, I would just, and my view on a lot of this is, we need to have media analysis that is balanced and fair, and not one-sided. And that's my concern all along. I was just having this conversation with someone recently too about free speech and lack of, avoiding censorship, is that it has to be applied across the board. I now fight for it now, and people all of a sudden think I'm some like right wing, crazy. And I'm like, listen, I was fighting for this even in the past, like right now, I kind of feel like, I don't know politically where I would fall, but I do know that there's certain basics we need. And one is that you got to have free speech, and you have to be able to, well, the other thing too, I think we need to acknowledge is that people voted for him knowing all of this. They knew who was at the table. They knew. So, and you know what bothers me is that when people just want to paint everybody that supports Trump as being dumb. And, I find that offensive. I find it, especially when I see media people commenting like that. I'm like, these are people that knew exactly, like, okay, after the last election, after Trump it, now there was no saying, okay, we didn't know. People know, and they supported it. And I think a lot of people don't mind, like, do you work hard? Do you like what's involved in making money? I think even people that aren't necessarily rich, think that, well, if you put the work in, I think Walter Kim referenced, he said, he thinks he has, pretty good biceps, but compared to like a Mike Tyson, he couldn't compete. But Mike Tyson does a lot of work to get where he's at in terms of his strength. And I don't know if everybody would want to have the life that someone like Elon Musk has. The man is like a machine.
I don't know.
And
I think
he was celebrated.
He must be delegating some of the
He is delegated, but no, I think he is. I think he's so type A. I think has his. And if you talk to people that have worked for him, with him. Like, no, I think he's very involved. And people celebrated him at one point, just like RFK Jr. People on the left celebrated him when he was doing environmental law and fighting. Like, it's interesting how, the narrative has shifted against these people that at one time were celebrated. And then you have to ask, why is that? Trump was celebrated at one time. Trump was on The View. Trump was celebrated by Oprah. Trump was seen as this great person. And then what happened? And I just would like to see someone answer those questions.
So you don't see any issues with Elon Musk running the Department of Government Efficiency. There's no issues there. I mean, how many meetings have you been to as a journalist? Like even municipal council meetings where some guy's wife works for some company that, they're issuing, they've got a request for a proposal, right? Or an RFQ. And so the guy has to declare a conflict of interest because his wife works at some company that might get a contract. And this guy has enough money, $270 million, to buy his way into the White House. Then every company he has, SpaceX, Tesla, the Boring Company, that's all government contracts, all of it. And grants and subsidies and carbon credits.
I'm not saying it is that I'm here to defend that. I will say that first off. What I am saying is that this is not unique.
This is unique. There's never been a Department of Government Efficiency.
No, there hasn't been. Right.
I don't think we've ever seen a super duper, ultra wealthy, rich guy buy his way into the White House to the point where he's basically the, VP number 2.
But people voted knowing this was. I think.
Nevertheless, it doesn't.
Here's the thing:
not everybody voted for it.
Whatever you may think of Elon Musk, I think people believe he's a good businessman and that he's successful.
Well, he knows how to get the government money. I wouldn't say that he's a free market capitalist exactly. He's he knows how to use this system, which is not exactly. It's not really free market capitalism.
Well, yeah, I can't comment so much on that. I'll end there because it's not.
This is a whole separate thing.
Yes,
we could go on for hours about this.
I just think, and I have a bit of a bias towards probably supporting Elon Musk based on his purchase of Twitter, and I do believe it was.
So that he can then control the narrative and the algorithms to feed people specific information.
The narrative
and I'm not saying it was right the other way, but let's not kid ourselves. He was involved in manipulation of the distribution of information in one way or another to get the kind of outcome that he wanted, right? So
but here's the thing, Rick. We've seen this. To me, I look at all social media platforms and look at the big picture. And I will take the community notes and even Mark Zuckerberg is jumping on the Elon train saying now that he's going towards community notes because he said he's done a good job. Now, I listened to Zuckerberg on Rogan and it was a very interesting interview. I do encourage people to listen because I'm not a big Zuckerberg fan. So it was a strange interview how he answered questions, and clearly he's
he's an android. Look at him. He's just like Data on Star Trek. Same damn guy.
So I will take because of all of the good that came from him purchasing Twitter/X. I accept that. Thankfully, if we didn't have Twitter X right now, I'd be very concerned about the amount of censorship and the heavy-handedness of censorship. So
he's censored people. He's got Laura Loomer pretty upset with him. He's got a bunch of the MAGA people really upset with him because they're accusing him of kicking them off his platform and censoring them. Isn't that kind of weird?
Well, that is true. Did he kick them off? What did he?
Yeah, he took away their blue check marks and all this shit. Yeah, I think he actually banned some of them.
Off. Okay, wait a minute. Now remember, this is a private platform. People think like. I encountered this, when we worked in media. It's not a public space. He owns it. So you have.
This is the same argument that Zuckerberg made.
You have Twitter. You have Facebook. You have different platforms to go to, and I will believe me. After the Twitter files, I am a strong advocate for Elon Musk buying X. I'm a strong animal. As a
I'm becoming more skeptical by the day. I was more in your camp before, but as time marches on, I'm not sure if it's a positive thing. This guy has all this AI technology at his disposal. Now we've got some guy. I can't remember what the guy's name was. It Adrian something. He sounds just like Elon Musk, and people are thinking that it is Elon Musk, but it could just be an AI Elon Musk. And then now, just yesterday, people are saying that Alex Jones isn't even real, that he's an artificial intelligence creation.
This is a whole other discussion about AI, but I don't think that's specific to Elon Musk or X or Twitter, because everybody has access now to AI, and
he controls it. He owns it. He's got
But there's other non-AI not owned by him.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
But going
this
back,
guy's
he
in the
didn't
White
kick
House.
those people off. Okay, removing a blue check mark is different than saying they
No,
kicked
it went beyond that. I don't know. I don't want to defend them because
I did look into that. People were complaining about getting kicked off. They weren't getting kicked off. You lose the blue check mark. Now that's different, and I think that this is where we have to be very careful about all of these things, and that's what I said. I'm not 100% saying, oh, Elon Musk is perfect. What I'm saying, I have a very specific support, because to me, I get so much varied news on X and Twitter that I don't get anywhere else. And then I see people posting these, and then eventually even the mainstream is picking it up. So I'm very grateful that we have Twitter X.
No, I'm looking it up. There's some of these people are saying they were outright banned. Other people have been demonetized. He's taken away verification badges. Just saying.
Well,
and Steve Bannon says the guy is pure evil. And these are supposed to be people who are on the same team.
Pure evil is. I can't.
I'm just throwing it out there.
That's an extreme. It's like saying that Trump is the devil, or he could be.
He's the Antichrist.
Well,
I heard that.
These extremes, Rick. We have to really get away from this extremism of putting everybody all in one category. They're either all good or all bad. We have to find that balance, or else we're going to end up. And a lot of the things now that he's bringing in, and I don't agree with some of the things that he's brought in, but I know what's happened. The pendulum has swung so far that now, and we've said this for a while, right? The pendulum has swung so far one way that now it's coming crashing back the other. And now he comes out and he's saying things like there are two genders, and now you're seeing people, oh my God, it's like that's going to cause wreak a lot of havoc in in the LGBTQ whatever community. But this was coming for a while because it was pushed so hard, as opposed to saying, I think there is room to allow that, if there is a small percentage of people that may identify differently, but it's become such a much like saying EV vehicles, you have to get an EV vehicle by this date or else. And when you put in, you have to get a COVID vaccine. Oops. I can't say that word. Isn't that terrible? Can't say that. But when you force anything, and I think anyone that's been a parent, you force one way, the pendulum will swing back and hit hard the other way. So.
You mean like this way?
You're going to cherry pick a clip. I'm going to say,
like that one from today? Twice? Wouldn't you say that this guy's pretty smart? Isn't he supposed to be a genius? Wouldn't you, do you think he knows what he's doing there?
What? I didn't see that.
This is people.
But here's the thing. I don't know the whole. Okay, that is bad. But
pretty fucking bad.
Rick, I never like cherry picking out.
I'm not cherry picking, Gail. This is today. This is just.
I know. But if you're not showing me, I'm gonna have to go look at the whole clip to understand that.
There it is. I'm not trying to pin this on you at all. Okay, I'm just saying. There's something going on here. This is a guy, please. This is a guy who's genius level, very politically aware.
Well,
right?
Okay.
And he gets up on the stage knowing the sensitivities that surround motions like that, and does it
Yeah.
twice. And people are going to tell me that he doesn't know what he's doing.
Now,
Either he's, I don't know.
I will say that he also does have some special needs. He has Asperger's. I'm very familiar. Well, I'm familiar with people
Okay.
with that. Like, if you listen to some of his things, there's some things that don't add up sometimes with him too. But I also know people. I mean, I worked in a company with someone who had. Oh, don't keep playing.
It just hurts too much, right?
I know. Well,
It's like, I didn't do it, man. Like, don't shoot the messenger.
I know,
Like,
but
he's
I
the
want to go
guy.
through the whole kindness, and I don't know, yeah, I just want to see the whole thing because you're pulling out one thing. Listen, it's horrible. I'm
Yeah,
gonna give you
and all the neo-Nazi groups are out there tonight. And they're all like cheering for, like, they think this
Yeah.
is wonderful. They're using it, right? And then people on the other side are like, "See, told you so." So, please, I mean, in this environment, don't tell me that guy isn't aware of the sensitivities surrounding something like that, and yet he stood up there and did that.
Yeah.
Come
No,
on.
that is, I cannot condone or support that. The only thing is, as someone who does have, and I believe because I know this very well of people with Asperger's, and it's sometimes things we don't completely understand it. I did work in a company with someone that that was had some
This is a guy
inappropriate
who's also been
things.
accused of that very thing, and then he still stands up there and does it twice today. And I just don't know, man. I think we're in a really dangerous place here. That's very concerning to me. I'm not convinced that he is, but all right, like,
No.
this doesn't bode well. Don't
Yeah.
very uncomfortable with that.
Yeah. I will look that up because I didn't see that. Probably.
Yeah.
So.
I didn't see it until just before we came on tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Is it true? It's not AI.
these days I don't know about anything anymore. No, it's real. It's out there.
Yeah.
It was
Okay.
today. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We talked about this earlier. It's a very complicated, everything related to Trump, everything related to, and the proof will be in the pudding over the next 4 years. And I think, going back to my area of expertise is in how the media covers things, right? That's going to be really, that's part of it. But then the other side is people have lost faith in mainstream media. They've lost faith in politicians. They've lost faith in public health.
Yep.
So now where people are going, they are going to other platforms. They are going to listen to podcasts. Whatever you may think of someone like a Joe Rogan, he's very popular. He is. So I think this is where media lost their way, and the ship has sailed. And now everybody's wringing their hands. It's like, well, you had a chance to do things differently, but if you're going to come out and tell people that voted for him that they're stupid, and you think they're going to listen to you on anything else, no. So I think people are open to looking at the big picture of everything and are saying, well, we'll take some, there's no perfect, just like under the Biden era, like, was that this great time, 4 years of Biden? I mean, and
No,
yet
it was
everybody,
terrible.
but the media was all over saying he's the best thing ever. Then Kamala Harris, like, let's vote for a woman because she's a woman. And
Well, some media, like not
Well-
Fox News.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm talking about mainstream that was saying these. And yeah, so we've kind of gone down this road of all or nothing. One way is good, one way, the other way is bad. I mean, we had some people, look at, you have like an RFK Jr. who was on the Democratic side that came over to support. So we've had some Democrats that have come over.
They're all
Even Bernie
Democrats.
Sanders agreed with some things, right?
They're all freaking Democrats now.
Yeah.
If you really know, even Trump was a Democrat.
Yeah.
They all they're it's infiltration. It's taken over the Republican Party. Yeah.
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 Yeah, it is. And, I guess different opinions on the oligarchy, right? And I was looking at it from a bit different perspective of who's supporting the party, right? Not necessarily the value of the person in charge. But, some of the money gets hidden too in terms of who's supporting the party behind the scenes. And I often want to know who's pulling the strings behind the scenes. Those are the questions. And that used to be the job of media, to dig and dig and dig to find out, okay, who else is at play here? Where else is money coming from? And that's what I'm sad about, is that we don't have anybody providing, a fair assessment and analysis. And instead we have, grab this clip and then say, oh, this is all good or this is all bad. We have this picking apart individual pieces without looking at the totality of, what someone's bringing to the table. And, I had this discussion with my son. It's not like I'm saying, oh, I'm all pro Trump and everything. I said, what I am is that we need to ask questions and understand what's going on. And I can support someone like Elon Musk based on my support of Twitter and X that is in that narrow perspective. It doesn't mean that I agree everything he's going to do. But, it's like people now are all like, oh, they're not going to listen to Carrie Underwood anymore. They're not going to, Wayne Gretzky. People are talking about, selling their jersey and they're going to be mad at him. And now did Snoop Dogg perform?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, because I missed that
last night.
Oh my God, people are posting, especially on Facebook, that Snoop Dogg's dead to me, right? And I was like, whatever. This,
people are mad at the Village people too, but
come on, how can you be mad at the Village?
I know, right? They're so
that
they're
is
so
funny,
nice.
though, that he had the Village people. Come on, that is some things just you shake your head about, but then people want to paint him. Okay, here's the other thing. They want to paint him as this racist, misogynist, blah, blah, blah. And yet he's done some things that putting women in positions of power and authority, right? And then we have, let's flip over to here in Canada, where we have a prime minister that talked about how much of a feminist he was and how more, put a woman in leadership, this is my segue into what's happening in Canada. And then the first chance he gets, Chrystia Freeland, throw her under the bus, right?
Well, she quit actually, but they were gonna throw her under the bus.
Yes,
they were in the process.
Yeah, no,
but she was too darn smart for him, and she
got out, but not without what he's done in supporting Carney now. I mean, it's pretty brutal what's happening. You have Melanie Jolie. I mean, all these people, though. I don't know if that's necessarily a positive, but this is where I said I have just lost so much, when the hypocrisy, right, too, and the people that don't stand by their values. So I would rather someone who's a little gruff, who's a little, tough about things, and actually that they do the right thing, not just say the right things. And over all the years that I've lived and worked and been in the union and worked under different bosses, in fact, I will say this, the best bosses I've had have been men who have helped lift me up, supported me, encouraged training, all sorts of things, right? Mm-hmm. So, but sometimes they may not have always said the right things. They could have said things that were not politically correct. But at the end of the day, they did the right thing. So I'll take that over, empty words any day. So
I have to say this about Chrystia Freeland. I got to give her some marks for putting up with Trudeau's crap for so long. And I think at the end here, we're seeing that she wasn't really always a fan, but she did her job. She sucked up to him. She towed the line. She did what she had to do. I'm not trying to defend her too much because she did a lot of things that I'll never forgive her for. But she had to put up with a lot of his crap for a long, long time. And anybody that in that position, and then in
Yeah.
the end to
I,
have him do what he did
yeah.
and try to blame the $60 billion deficit on her so that he could then bring in Carney to replace her. Like yeah, she did the right thing. She was like, yeah, that's it. I quit.
I'm not so kind about my assessment. I think you know, but this is why I said I could never run for politics. And I mean, when I was in the union, I got in a lot of trouble because I would speak up about things because to me, I was looking at the Constitution and saying, wait a minute, what do you mean you're not going to have a secret ballot vote, right? And I caused quite a ruckus when I said we need a secret ballot vote because how can you go up to a microphone and say who you're going to vote for? So yeah, I like to sleep at night. I like to be able, and I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I try to at least follow a certain guideline of things, right? And I think what she did during the convoy and the freezing of bank accounts, I have no, at a certain point, yeah. Now, two things. One is I think she got dealt a very raw deal. Agreed. But
That's politics.
You reap what you sow, number one. But I do think the bigger issue here is that Trudeau is supposed to be encouraging women, and she would have been an ideal woman in terms of if you want to put a woman with, all of her background, her experience, she should have been given that opportunity by him. If he truly believed in his feminist views, he would have said, we are going to support Christia on this. And he didn't. And Melanie Joly had a chance to support her sister and didn't. So, if you're going to talk about all of these ideals of being a feminist and lifting up women, I mean, if you look at a Christian Carney, it's not like, oh, he's so much better than her and he has so much. No, she has the experience. So again, what I want to be clear, what I'm saying here is that if you're going to be consistent in your ideals and your values, then he should have supported Chrystia Freeland for the leadership. And he didn't. But it's the Jody Wilson-Raybould also happening, right? So that's where I lose respect for people when they don't follow through. Like, if you're going to stand up, like if he hadn't have been so strong about feminism and everything, I would say, okay, you know what? He wanted to bring in Carney, but you can't have it all ways. You can't say, it's 2000 and whatever year he said, we need to have 50% women. So on that, he was okay putting in 50% women. But then first opportunity to put a woman in a leadership role, and he doesn't.
Shame on him.
Shame. Now, I am someone, as I consider myself a feminist, but I also believe you can't. And I heard this at an event recently that was so disturbing. It was like this women, rah women, all saying like, and this woman who was standing up there said, we need to put women in these positions of authority. And when we're at the same level of incompetent, there's incompetent men and leaders of authority, positions of power, we need to have, so if we have incompetent women, it's okay. And I'm like, no, it's not okay. That is like, two wrongs do not make a right. Like, so when I hear that as a woman, that I do not agree with that. I think it's very wrong to say, and these same women that I do know, some of them, the first chance they had also to support a woman candidate locally, they supported the male candidate. So I'm like, again, do you believe in your values and ideals? If not, you got to say, okay, I'm going to support the most politically expedient person. And Carney was to Trudeau is the most politically expedient, but that is not a value-based decision. So,
well, so this was your segue into the Canadian thing.
What's that?
This was your segue into the Canadian thing, and I guess that is because you want to now tackle the whole Trump tariff 51st state stuff.
Well,
or not?
Yeah, I mean, I can comment. I mean, okay, that's my segue more into understanding negotiations. So because I led in with, my background in unions, and I believe I was trained with the best. I was part of the CAW, Canadian Auto Workers, even though I was in the media at the time. Long story, we went from the Guild to the CAW. And so I did a lot of training. I learned, I got to see behind the curtain. And I tell you, negotiations, it was not like initially when I was still with the Guild we went heavy and hard at the company and But then in the CAW, in the local I was in, each local is different, but it was all about understanding what you're up against, who you're up against. And you have to make decisions on, what is it you want to go after? How are you going to fight? How long do you want to be walking around the building on strike versus, what do you have to give up? What do you have to negotiate? And it's also about, optics. So what I do see, I also was just asked this, like, oh, am I team Doug Ford or team Danielle Smith? Even being asked that question says so much about what a mess we're in Canada, because we do not have a strong national leader. And instead we have provincial premiers stepping up to the plate to talk about this. And they're doing their jobs because their job is to defend their constituents in their provinces. Now, Doug Ford is saying, yes, he's part of Team Canada. But if you listen closely what he's saying, he's being, he's very masterful at being he's sort of trying to take on that role of I'm the captain here, right? Whereas Danielle Smith is, I give her a lot of credit for, she's smart, she's savvy, she's a good networker. She's been down, I just heard her in an interview, she's down there meeting people. And I think she gets someone like Trump. She knows how he acts and thinks. And she's not going to come hard and heavy at him and start attacking. She's going to try to negotiate. And this story is not done yet. And here's the other thing I just heard before the show. I asked to listen to the local news. So CBC came out, it was very interesting. But I lost my train of thought there. Lost my train of thought here. Sorry.
She was down there.
She was down there. She was talking. Yeah. So, but right now they're still the story is not finished yet. And also we had to find out during his speech, that's when Melanie Joly said, well, I found out what everybody else did. Oh my God. That she said that is just, I find this very discouraging. Because where is our leadership? There should have been knowledge of what he was going to say in his speech about the impact. So he didn't mention the tariffs in Canada. Okay, so why is that? And what, in negotiations,
if this super savvy, ultra strategic premier from Alberta is right, then she's saying that it's because of her, because she's claiming credit for this, what she's calling a reprieve.
Again, strategy. She's being strategic. She's ballsy, so she's going to say, yeah, because of me.
I think she's afeared. I think she's petrified.
She may be, but you know what? She's not coming across like that.
I think she is. Did you watch that video of her in her hotel room?
No, I did not see that, but
she is. There she is after meeting Trump. And it looks like she's in bed, although they claim she was on the sofa doing this Q&A with some reporters. And she looks haggard. She looks tired. She looks totally stressed to me. She was looked rattled. And honestly, she did. She just looked.
Yeah, that's a lot of conjecture. I don't know.
Stressed out. And she goes down there. And she's not Gail. She's not taking a strong stance with the guy. She's like, whatever you want. There's no way we're doing anything to offend you, Mr. Trump. Whatever you want. That's basically what it was.
A simplistic portrayal of.
I don't know about that. I think it's pretty accurate.
I think it comes down to how how all of this is perceived from a negotiating perspective. And hey, he didn't come out heavy and hard. He came out heavy and hard during his speech today on a few things, but not about Canada.
Yeah.
And how come we didn't know that ahead of time?
Well, that he wasn't going to talk about it?
No. Because we don't have a relationship like that. That is very disturbing. So quite apart, let's remove Danielle Smith out of the equation.
Sure.
We should be having some sort of rapport, and we don't. And if you go back, I believe it was because they thought there was a cockiness that, well, Trump's not going to win. So we'll just we were, as the Canadian, I'm talking about our government, was blasting him, which again, you think that's not going to come back to bite you? As I said, of all my time in negotiations, you have to be strategic and you have to be if you're going to come out and start bad. Now, I'm not saying there aren't unions that have done this. It depends where you're at and what your bargaining strength is.
Well, let me.
I don't know if we have that much bargaining strength.
I mean, I understand what you're saying. At the same time, I don't think Trump is really checking in with anybody on what he's going to say in his speeches. And even though Danielle Smith is claiming some sort of a victory for getting at least a 1-day reprieve or whatever that is for him not implementing the tariffs on day one, this is bunk. It's BS. And I'll tell you why. Because he's treating all the countries exactly the same. He didn't impose tariffs on any countries today. It wasn't just Canada. It wasn't China. It wasn't Mexico. It wasn't Canada. He's treating everybody the same. He just hasn't gotten to it yet. It's got nothing to do with Danielle Smith.
I don't disagree with you on that. I don't. He came out very heavy on he's Team America, but guess what? Here's the difference where he stands and where we stand. He's in a position, he has a team around him, and he's saying, we are going to make America great. We're going to do this, and we're going to, take over the Panama Canal. We're going to rename the Gulf of Mexico. We're going to but I tell you, people are eating that up there, and he has the team around him that I see that is supporting him on that. We are in Canada a mess.
Yeah, because Danielle Smith has broken ranks and has gone down there to kiss his ass.
Well, we'll agree to disagree on.
What else is what?
There is
how would you?
The problem is there is. Who else is going to be building any type of rapport or relationship and at least keeping the channels open of discussion? And as someone, I consider
got Kevin
myself.
O'Leary, of course, he might just skim a little off the top for himself along the way. But at least he's down there negotiating an economic union on behalf of Canada. I don't remember anybody voting for the guy, but yeah, at least he's there.
Well, there's lots of things about other people that we didn't vote for that were at various meetings, and so.
I just don't see how this is Canada's fault.
Oh, well, we have no strength. We have Melanie Joly down there. We have Trudeau, who has resigned, not resigned. We are in a mess politically. We should have had. We have no clear path of where we're going.
What did we do to the United States to bring on this?
Here's the other thing I'll say is that we didn't really. You know what we did? We're weak. And someone like Trump smells weakness. He's been smelling this, watching this. And I will say, one of the things that I learned, again, back to negotiations, if one side thinks the other side is weak, they're going to go in and grab as much as they can.
Yeah, that's why that's his big mistake.
Well,
do you know why? Because the United States needs to have us weak. We've always and all other countries have to be weaker than the United States since World War II. Because why? They have nukes.
Well, I'm not talking about weak I'm talking about weak in terms of leadership.
I'm talking. Well, yeah, okay, but I'm talking about we're vulnerable to the United States because they need us to be. We can't be any kind of threat to them. We have to be a complement, not in any kind of real, potential competitive role against them. People are kind of lose sight of that. All you have to do is look at the Avro Arrow. That's really why we ended up not building the Avro Arrow in Canada, because the United States doesn't want us to have a really robust military industrial complex up here. They can't have somebody on their border who one day might decide that
Right. We're talking about two different things. I'm talking about who's at the table negotiating, right?
Well, okay. Fair enough.
It's not so much strength in terms. He would want someone. Oh, listen, he doesn't want us getting all like cocky and thinking we're gonna build up. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying he sees weakness. It would be like, okay, if we were back with the union and the company comes in and all of a sudden the HR person, the HR person leaves and they don't have someone, and then so you can take advantage of that weakness. And that's what I'm saying. It's just the players at the table.
It's not just Canada, though. This is Mexico. This is also China. This is other countries. He's doing it in Europe, too, to a great degree. He's doing it everywhere.
Yep.
And he did it to Panama today. We're taking it back. On what authority? Who gives you the authority to do that? I'm going to rename the Gulf of Mexico. Really? Like, I don't remember him talking about this during the campaign. Did people vote for that? And now he comes out with it. And under, again, whose authority? He just decides. I guess he can do it within the United States, but doesn't Mexico have something to say about it, or Cuba, or any other country that's in that area? Like, all these that name was decided upon through treaties. A long, long time ago. And then he just comes along and he's treating everybody like crap. Right. All his friends. He's kicking his friends in the shins.
Yeah. No, I don't. And that's the thing. I'm not saying what he's doing is right, but I do think right now we have premiers that are stepping up because we don't have a strong leadership at the top. That's a big thing, because we should have someone that needs to be the parent, and then you have the premiers, and they should have. But we should have been working on this a long time ago. Like, what the heck? Now everybody's scrambling to get.
But we did. He came in before, and he's like, "I don't like NAFTA. It sucks. This is the worst trade deal ever." So they renegotiated it. Yeah. We got USMCA, and actually, at that time, and that's why I keep saying, Trump in 2016 was different than Trump now. In 2016, 2017, he went through this negotiation, and Canada went through it, and we came out pretty good. And even down in Mexico, it was good for Mexican auto workers, where their wages actually came up so that they were more in parity with U.S. auto workers. So there was less incentive to move the plants out of the U.S. But it wasn't like he was trying to screw Mexico over. He elevated everybody. But I don't know where this is going, though. This is different. And here we go again. We're gonna that USMCA is not good enough anymore. We're gonna do this all over again. Well, we've been there before, and they did very well. So it's not like we don't have a capable team. And Gail, it isn't like it's just Trudeau's week. Like, all the premiers across the whole country, they're all together on this. Everybody is standing in unity except one. And why? Because she's got the oil, and they feel butthurt over the National Energy Program going back to the 1970s. They just can't get over it. And so they're like, we're not on Team Canada. Screw you. You should have treated us nicer. And and this is the whole thing. Like, this is all a bunch of BS from Trump anyway, because he's saying we're ripping them off. We're not ripping them off. We sell the oil to them at a discount. We don't even sell it to them at market value. We sell it to them at below market value. They're screwing us, and they can. And you know why? Because we've allowed ourselves to be weak in that regard, because we allowed the pipelines to flow down through the states and back up again from Alberta all the way through the states, back up into Ontario to supply the Canadian market and the U.S. market. But we never built those pipelines east to west across Canada, which we should have. But that's again because we allowed environmental groups, political activists, others to block the development of these things. And I would say this too: some of those activist groups, environmental groups, funded by foreign governments, including, I would say, some people with vested interests in having those pipelines go down to the States, and they're American people financing some of these organizations that pretend to be environmental groups, but they're really just there to stop us from developing our own resources up here so they can exploit it. And it's not just the Americans, it's countries from the Middle East as well. A lot of this is, cloak and dagger behind the scenes political stuff that we're never really fully aware of because it's dark money and it's coming in strange ways and a lot of things going on. And, Kevin O'Leary, you know what he has a lot of investments in, right? Pipelines. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, Dakota Pass Pipeline. He got money in that. And he's got money up in Alberta. And he's got a lot of self-interest in what's going on. So I'm very skeptical. And there he is attached to the hip of Danielle Smith down there at Mar-a-Lago. I know what he's all about. And he's got her ear because he wants to put an AI facility up in Alberta, invest a lot of money up there. He wants to buy TikTok for $20 billion. This is all China, right? And Trump he's listening to these people. This is about really rich people. And Danielle Smith is down there hobnobbing with the really rich people and the oil industry. And Trump is all about the oil right now. And he's got his eye on Alberta. That's what it's all about, man. And this also, he's playing politics. He knows that Canada is a very fragile country politically. And by doing what he's done, all he had to do was just say what he said, and the country's ready to fly apart. They're ready to separate already and join the United States. And he's fueling all of that and exploiting it and turning Canadian against Canadian. And she's helping him. And so is Kevin O'Leary. And he doesn't care, I don't think, because he's all about this, man. And I hope I'm wrong, but I think Danielle Smith does love her province, but I don't think she has any love really of, Trudeau or liberalism. Or progressive liberalism, that's for sure. And so she's right in there on that side of the political spectrum. And I think she'd be just quite happy to be part of the US of A and say goodbye to bilingual cereal boxes. And be able to then pump all that Alberta oil down into the U.S. where they already have access to international markets and probably make the people of Alberta maybe a little bit more prosperous. But it seems like a lot of people in Alberta are ready to sell out their whole country in order to get a little bit of an income tax break. Meanwhile, all these people who've been running around since the pandemic and the Freedom Convoy saying, I'm here to defend Canada. I'm flying a Canadian flag on the back of my pickup truck because I love my country. And here they are. And as soon as this happens, they're like, yeah, here's my American flag. I'm flying that out in front of my house and screw Canada. I'm ready to pack it in and give up on this fake myth of a country because it doesn't exist. It's just a corporation anyway. I mean, people better wake the hell up because they're going to miss this place when it's gone. Just saying.
It's a lot of saying.
Well, I think we're worth saving. I think the country is worth saving because we are unique.
I think there's a bit of extremism happening. So I'm more of the belief that I was just reading a couple of the comments too, and because someone said I was full of BS, but I'm not for that. No. But
don't tell me what they're saying about me.
No.
With
the comment that even if there was a strong national leader, that the premiers would still be doing this, and I don't disagree with that. I wanted to be clear on that. Like I think though that I think everybody can agree that we are in disarray. And then the next thing is, it's just, we don't know what would happen if we had some strength and be able to be at the table and have some discussions. And we have to remember too, that the last time when all of this was happening, the Liberals did, and I did read some of this, that when they, managed to negotiate things, it was a different attitude and approach. Well, now, okay, Trump doesn't he's looking at people like Trudeau and Chris, remember when they were like MAGA maple syrup and calling the conservatives up here names. And I don't know if that's always to me, even at the time, I thought, this is not good. This is not good. He's going to be pissed off about this. I don't know why we as a country, our leadership had to go down that road. There's lots of things you can talk about. Why would you come out attacking Trump knowing that he might be the next president? It just doesn't make sense to me. That's just kind of human nature. Now, would he have still done it? He might have, but we don't know. And we don't know, Rick, how things might have been different if there was a better relationship.
Actually, you know what? I don't think even if Biden or Kamala Harris had been the president this term, I think the U.S. was still going to come and And I was hearing rumblings about, trade issues anyway. So
Yeah.
some of this stuff would still be dealt with, but I think it would have been dealt with differently. This is
This
with
is hard at. This is hard line, hard at. But again,
and no
that's one thing I'll
unnecessary.
say.
No need for this. Not
I'm agreeing. There's more things I'm agreeing with you, Rick.
me
What
too.
I'm saying is I bring here commentary on the optics and how negotiations work and how, because I was taught things that exactly what Danielle says, like these are things, it's the optics of how you show up at
So
negotiations.
please explain to me how going down there and showing your cards, when you're in a poker game and you just showed your hand when the game's just getting started, and then you break ranks with everybody else, and then you go down there and say, hey, you know what? The number one tool that we have in our toolbox, which is energy, that's off the table. Even though all those guys over there are saying that everything's on the table, everything's not on the table. What we have, energy, I control that, and I'm not going to let them have it. So how does that help?
Well, she's a politician who's representing her constituency. And, you can say she's not Team Canada, she's Team Province, but people in her province right now are very happy with her.
Not everybody, but I'll give you,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, not ever. I mean, come on. There's no one ever going to support one person like there's never going to, 100% support. But I just think there's
And I just, can you explain to me too, and I'm not saying this is you, but there's this upside down mentality to it all. It's like, this is Canada's fault. This is Trudeau's, like, honestly, Ezra Levant with like a petition, Hands Off Alberta, saying, help us stop Trudeau's trade war on the United States.
well, come on.
What is that?
That's also, come on, that's how Rebel's gonna do what they do.
But this
like,
isn't just Rebel. This is what people are
But no, there's
now.
lots-
People have been are thinking.
there is a mix of views.
Trudeau's
There's
fault.
people blame Trump. There's people blame, like there's lots of blame to go around here as to
I don't know about that. This is Trump threatening a 25% tariff on
But
Canada.
you just said even if Biden was in, he would have been doing it. So
but what I said
He
was
would've been nicer about it.
they were still going to come up and there were trade
but
issues.
if he would have been nicer, so that would have been okay
No,
if they had done it.
There's no way this would.
They would have brought flowers first, and then attacked.
It would have been. Who knows what it would have been? But I just know that there were trade issues that they wanted to deal with.
Yeah.
This though isn't even really about trade in the end. What's it really about? What's the thing that he really asked about or is demanding? Border security. Even that is upside down world.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any bloody sense to
yeah.
me. Explain that to me. And it's not your job to explain it, but
I know
help
what
me
you're
out.
saying.
Right?
I think there's, with all of this, it's, I go back to, it's hard when our own house isn't in order. I'm not saying that's the reason. Okay, everybody, please listen. I'm not saying that's the reason, but it doesn't help. It does not help. And then you have Chrystia Freeland at her announcement. Like instead of talking about issues, she did this all-out attack on Trump. I'm like, okay, that
she hardly got a word in edgewise actually because of all the protesters.
Oh my god! Well, it
was terrible. It was awful.
I watched that. It was kind of surreal. In fact, because I had seen some things on social media, I thought, okay, I'm going to go watch this because, come on, it couldn't have been that bad. It was that bad. It was
bad.
And people said, "Oh, she handled herself well." And I listen. I don't know what I'd do if that happened to me, but
she
it
looked
was
pretty rattled, actually.
It was non-stop, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Every time she'd get underway, and I mean, but okay. Sidebar topic for a minute here. This has been what a lot of people have been facing recently, but they don't have the power that she had to kick them out.
Mm-hmm.
She had security that kicked them out of her campaign. So, a lot of the protests that have been happening of late have been pretty horrible for people in the Jewish community that have had to deal with this, getting access to synagogues or getting access even to a restaurant or a store that just happened to be owned by someone who's Jewish. So I saw it as, well, again, you reap what you sow.
Yeah. Well, I saw cracks that were not easily visible to others in the Liberal Party at that leadership announcement of hers. You look behind her and who's standing behind her. It's people sort of again in the non-Trudeau camp, right? And
Yeah.
it's and on the Gaza issue, you can.
Anthony Housefather was
That's
right
right.
there.
Oh
Yep.
yeah, yeah. So I'm like, okay, I'm seeing
Well,
who's who now in the zoo.
okay, here's my thought into the other thing. This is a little just my opinion. Like, it was interesting as you were watching them remove the protesters, and I said it was interesting to look at the disgust on the people looking at the protesters. That listen, you've been supporting these protests, like you haven't done anything to really say, and it was that said so much, because these are people that you support their cause.
That's right.
And yet
that's
you
coming
now-
from the party, and I would say that's Trudeau. And that's also why I said earlier she was putting up with his crap for a long time. I think there were quite a few things that they didn't agree on. So this is a big crack in the
But a lot of people in
party.
caucus did that, and
Oh,
that
yeah.
was the problem. It wasn't just her. And I'm like, you know what? They have no backbone. They have no spine, because they had a chance to gather together, but they didn't, and they just kept. I am so disappointed in what's happened. When you look at what has happened with the Liberal brand, the NDP brand, I mean, it's just been because people have chosen their own personal, egos. And I get it. This is also why I said I'm not in politics. So I appreciate, that's why I think I really appreciate it. And there are a few people I have a lot of respect for as politicians, but it's a tough life, because at times you do have to go along to get along. You can't always be speaking up. I mean, I didn't always go along to get along in my past. And I think now that's what's made me more aware of the need sometimes to do that. Because if you're going to have success, you have to look at the bigger picture and how do you make change, because you can't always be at war. Having said that, I also know why there are certain lines though I won't cross. There's certain, and those are the hard lines things like I talked about earlier, right? There's certain things you don't bend on. And those are things like, as I said, when I was with the union and they wanted to go up to the microphone and cast a vote, even though that hurt me politically in my own local, and because I went against the stream, and I talked to someone else. Now, before going up there, I was talking to someone else, and I said, well, why are you agreeing to this? He says, well, if I ever want to come back here again, I have to get approval. And I'm like, that makes me feel sick. Like, so you're going to go along. You're not going to ask for the secret ballot because you want to come back again. And it's sad too, right? It's sad that was, and that's how it sometimes works. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, even as we're talking, I think, again, it goes back to what's missing in all of this is that we don't have, at one point there was at least some semblance of curiosity and analysis in media. And, it's now gone off the rails to the point now that now people just getting their media information from all over the places, right? And podcasts and alternative. And so, yeah, we don't have a lot of that consistency. And as my son says, well, who determines what is misinformation? Who determines that? Like, there's not.
I have a question. Who determines what an illegal alien is? What's illegal? And if we're deporting millions of people, do all these millions of people, are they entitled to due process? Do they have any rights at all? Or like, who's the judge, jury, and executioner on this? How is all this going to play out? I'm very worried about it. And where are all these people going? As I've said the last couple of
Yeah.
nights, I think we know exactly where they're going. Here. All these, that's why the RCMP has been looking at that issue. And he's talking about border security in Canada,
It's a
tied to
one-way
tied to
border
the tariffs,
security.
right?
It's like that, where the doors that go one way, like they don't want them coming in, but they can come over here. Oh,
Right.
believe me, it's gonna be.
This is upside down world too. This whole notion of you need to beef up your border, Canada. You're a security threat to us. You better secure your border, Canada. What the hell does that mean? See, here's why it doesn't make sense. And people are like, yeah, we need secure borders. Are you thinking about this, folks? This is upside down world. He is responsible for his damn border. We're responsible for our border. Gail, when you go to the States and you're leaving the country, does the Canadian government or any Canadian government official, as you're going over the Ambassador Bridge, do they stop you for any reason to leave the country? Nope. Why? Because we're a free country. And as a citizen, and you're not a criminal, you're free to leave at any time you want, as any of us are. And you don't even have to check out. You can just leave because we're free. This is not East Germany in the old Soviet era. There's no Berlin Wall here, but somebody seems to want us to build one.
But I can't go into the States if I have a criminal record.
No, but who stops you?
That's the U.S.
U.S. border security, because they're responsible for their border.
Right.
But here's Trump saying, Canada, you better beef up your border security, boy, or else we're going to put 25% tariff on you on everything you send over here.
Okay, you're being a bit. Come on now. He doesn't talk like that.
Okay, well, that's his border dude. Okay, that's the MAGA border dude. You better get your border in order there, boy, because that's what they're doing. And we're going to get out our Dukes of Hazzard Dodge Charger and drive her right up your Canadian keister. Okay, so like I'm telling you, man, like this is upside down world. So what does he want us to do? He wants us to what? We've already got helicopters. What are we looking at now? Okay, anybody leaving the country to go to the States where there's a guy over there? Okay, stop him. That's their responsibility.
This is what's missing from the analysis part of.
If they're coming our way, we'll stop them coming this way. But that's because you're sending them to us. That's our problem, okay? He's making their problem our problem when it's not our problem. It's not our fault at all.
Yeah.
So screw him. Sorry, I know everybody loves Trump and you're not supposed to criticize him. And the MAGA mob gangs up on me here every time I say anything negative about him at all. Today, I said a couple of things about Trump and it's like, this show's too leftist for me. I'm out of here. I'm going over with MAGA dude. Okay? And I'm like, I'm just telling you how it is. This is not this is not East Germany with the Berlin Wall in place. This is not what we are. We're a free country. You can leave anytime you want. We're not going to check. You want to leave? Go ahead. Go ahead. If Trump lets you in, then he lets you in. If he doesn't let you in, then I guess you're coming back. But this is not that's his fucking problem, not my fucking problem, boy. Okay? So stop beating me up and saying that you're going to impose a 25% export tax on everything we sell. And then you think people are like, oh, he's just kidding. It's just nothing. He's just joking around. No, he's not. And you know why he's not joking around? And it's not just us. It's not just because we have a weak leader. He's establishing the Department of External Revenue, the External Revenue Service, the ERS, not the IRS, Internal Revenue Service. And he said today he's going to enrich America again by extracting wealth from countries around the world with the External Revenue Service. How the hell you going to do that, dude? With tariffs? Well, good luck, because you know what? It ain't going to work. And he's going to push all these other countries away. He is isolating America. It's like, on day one, you know what he's doing? He's destroying his country. Like, I mean, is he like, you couldn't, I mean, I studied economics in university, You couldn't come up with a plan to destroy a country quicker than this, because this will result in massive inflation. It'll make stuff so expensive for people at home in the United States that, people are struggling now in some cases, right? Especially low income people. Good luck. You've got people living on the streets. They've got lots of tent cities down there. And this is going to be hard on us. And then they're going to push all these migrants up here. And you know what? There are other countries out there. Russia's done this. Finland had to shut down their border because Russia was pushing all these migrants from like Syria and the Middle East, Somalia. They were pushing them all. Last year, Finland had to shut down their border, had to close it, block it right off. They were doing it temporarily, but they kept on pushing them. The government there, the Russians, even gave a lot of the migrants, bicycles so that they could get over some of the areas that were more difficult. Finland shut down. This is some sort of a weird hybrid warfare exercise. And it's the United States under Trump perpetrating this on us. And people who don't recognize it, wake the hell up, because we got a big freaking problem on our hands. Now, I don't know, maybe we got a 1-day reprieve because of Danielle Smith, but this ain't over because we're still going to have to deal with the ERS and their Dodge Charger border guards. Over to you.
Well, that was a lot, but I do have to wrap up unrelated to that because remember I was supposed to wrap up around 8.
Don't run away yet. We're just getting good.
Well, you're on fire tonight.
You wait till we send that 68 Charger up in airborne, and we do a yeehaw. That's coming. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I don't have much else. I've made my points about negotiations in media, and
this ain't directed at you at all. It's not your fault. You didn't do this to us.
I think, like anything, it's more complex. I always come back to we need to not just,
Maybe I'm paranoid. I'm probably watching way too much social media.
Yeah,
too much Twitter. Too much Twitter.
Too much Twitter is not. You have to step away, or you have to just find out who you're following. Like I have some pretty good people I'm following that I really have a great deal of respect for, and there's some other people that are a bit. But yeah, we will see. Someone just posted. They said they thought they heard February 1st as the 12%. I mean, we'll see what happens over the next few weeks. I think it's going to be. There's a lot of fanfare and huffing and puffing. So let's.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it's just a lot of.
Yeah.
A lot of bluster,
to do
right?
Everything he wants to. I mean, listen, whoever wrote the speech, right? It's what you do you come out strong. You come out and you're come out saying we are the best country in the world. And I mean, he's doing exactly what he said he would do. And now,
actually, no, he's not. I didn't hear him talk about any of this stuff during the campaign at all. He didn't say anything about Canada, Greenland. He didn't talk about Panama.
I'm talking about making, a strong America. And that's what I heard in the speech. He wants to, and he's going to play hardball. Rightly or wrongly, that is how he wants to be positioned. And I think if I'm looking at this as an analyst, I'd say, okay, he achieved that goal. He came out strong. Now, I haven't seen all of everything from today, but I did hear about 90% of his speech. So,
the other thing that I think is really dangerous here, and I think he's doing irreparable damage to the reputation of the United States, because the U.S. already has this image now, especially because of foreign propaganda, which amplifies the problem, where the United States is seen as this giant geopolitical bully who, after World War II, and especially after the fall of the Soviet Union, became this unipolar power, dominating the entire world and, extracting wealth from all these other countries. And I argue constantly that that's too simplistic, and it's not really always true. And they're just the big bully policing the whole world and doing whatever they want. Well, this is exactly the kind of behavior that the United States is always accused of. And now he's doing exactly this. And it's just alienating the entire world against the U.S. I'm really worried about it because I don't think the United States generally has been like that. They've made mistakes, but I don't think the Western world has really been like that since World War II. But with this is like, this is
Well,
painting with that brush.
everything is it's definitely upside down. I mean, I shake
Yeah,
my head at a lot of things of late because it's quite shocking when you look at everything what's happened in our world
no
and in
kidding. Yeah.
it's and there is, and so I just think we have to dial things down a bit and not, because it doesn't help. I mean, we'll just, if we keep everything at high and just attack, that's not going to solve anything either. I mean, it's like any relationship. If you just constant, you're never going to resolve anything. You have to find a way to say, okay, where do we find the reasonableness. Okay, whatever. Being more reasonable. But on that note, I do have to go.
Okay, just give me some positive words of inspiration so that I don't have a heart attack tonight.
Well, I think it's, don't get too fired up about this. It's like you have to look at the totality, not just the individual things that are happening. And social media has done a disservice to us because now we see things and we hear things over and over and over again, whereas before we didn't. And I will say this, the world is not as bad as what we believe it is based on a lot of the social media we get. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I think it's good to take a break, go for a walk, think about, that there are other things important in life, making sure, you're healthy, and things aren't as bad as they seem. I think, we hear there's a lot of, as I said, huffing and puffing. So I want to see what's going to happen over the longer term, not the short term. You know what they say? It's a, what do you call it? It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. We're going to see this over the next
4 years.
Yeah. But everybody wants to come out hard and the first time into your mandate, right? Mm-hmm. So he wants to come across as, this strong, vital, like that's what he's doing. And everybody needs to just be aware of that, right? He's using that to say, I'm strong and vital and vibrant, and I'm going to come out and we're going to make America great again. And he's doing everything. Like, I don't know why people are surprised by this. Like, I look at it and go, look, everybody, just like, we need to.
So maybe sometime I can like him again? Maybe.
I don't think it's about liking or dislike. I mean, I don't know if I always have to like someone that's in a position of authority or power. If I can find some avenues of respect. But, to me, I want to see things get back, kind of normalized for a while in some way. But again, there's a great book. I forget the name of it. I'll send it to you. There's it was a friend of mine that lent it to me, and there was these 13 questions that started the book. Anyways, it asks all these questions about, and it's all data-based. So, we believe one thing. It was like recently someone said, how many witches were killed in Salem, right? And everybody, you're either going to think it's like hundreds, or you're going to think it's like 5. And I think it's like there was like 19 or something, right? So it all depends your perspective, how you see the world, right? So if you see that the world is horrible and scary, like I travel a fair bit on my own, and I tell you, there's some people in my side, oh my God, they're so worried about, traveling. And I don't see so much the stranger danger. I think, I'm careful, I'm aware, all those things, but I don't live a fear-based life. And I also try not to live a negative-based life. I try to see that, most people are good. Like when I come across, not on social media, not even in the chat, you see people, it's like, but in real life, people are generally good and they're helpful, and they tend to, it's only when I see people on social media and they talk about being kind and generous. I just saw a post today, and then bam, like I was like, so I think I just want to end on, not everything is as bad as social media and podcasts and whatever people will have us feed into our brains. I think things are better, and things will be better. I'm a believer in that. Things will be better.
Okay, I can live with that. Thanks, Gail.
Okay. Bye, everybody. Have a good night.
Hey, see ya.
Bye.
There she goes. Let's take a little break. We'll come back. I think Dragon's waiting in the back room, so we'll join up with him on the other side. Hang on.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
All right, and I think he's there. There he is. Hello, Sir Dragon. How are you this evening, my Maverick friend?
I'm doing extremely good. How are you?
I am okay.
I hope everyone's okay too, because, well, it's the first day of Trump, so what can we ask for more, huh?
Yeah. So, give me your assessment of today's inauguration festivities.
Oh, well, there's a lot of talk about Elon Musk and his salute, if I can put it this way, because, yeah, a lot of people were grinding against him because the way he did salute everyone kind of looked like, East Germany 1930s, give or take. But yeah, that was just one thing. I was listening actually to Trump earlier, signing his executive orders, and he's still at it. Actually, he has a lot to do, and he did already sign on. I think the third one was putting tariff on China's, the 100 tariff %. So, yeah, that's one thing. And,
So, what was he saying about China? Just this evening, was he talking about that?
if I'm not mistaken, on the third assignment of orders that he did was the 100% tariff for
I
China,
don't.
if I'm not mistaken.
No, I don't think so. Not today.
Wasn't today?
No, he is. I don't think he's placed any tariffs on any countries today.
Because I heard him said something along the way, but probably I'm wrong.
I mean, I know that he's talking about that, but
yeah.
I'll look. But I don't think that was done today, because I checked before we came on tonight, and yeah, as far as I know, no tariffs at all today. And he directed his he gave directives today for trade to be reviewed as he prepares to initiate these tariffs. But no, not today.
All right. So sorry about that, but hey, as you know, we got a lot of signing going because he's still at it. Actually, he has been started about 40 minutes, something like that. Just to sign his executive order of the day. So yeah.
Oh,
So
see, okay, so I found why there's confusion about this. And this is just coming down just minutes ago, okay? So he is threatening China with tariffs if they don't agree to a deal on TikTok.
oh, that's the
But he's
deal.
threatening tariffs anyway.
Oh,
So,
by the way, U.S. is out of Paris agreement, so they have signed it. Well, Trump have signed it
mhm.
for that. So this is another thing.
And out of the World Health Organization too, again. And he's saying here that if China doesn't approve a TikTok divestiture deal, they could put tariffs on China. Well, they're already threatening tariffs. And He says, quote, if we wanted to make a deal with TikTok and it was a good deal and China wouldn't approve it, we'd put tariffs on China. I'm not saying I would, but you certainly could do that. Now, that's pretty wishy-washy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see.
things
TikTok. Do you use TikTok?
No, I never had TikTok, and I make sure that it's not into when I get a new phone, for example. I make sure to take off TikTok from the manufacturer's tools that you can get from there, because I don't want China to be in my stuff.
Yeah, I have a TikTok account. I was using it for a little while. I don't really use it now. I post an occasional thing over there, but
Well, to be quite honest, I never been into TikTok because what I look from TikTok is, well, basically childish stuff. You know, people
Yeah.
eating pods or running in next to a car and dancing like this next to the car and going back into the car. I mean, that's dangerous, guys. So yeah, no, this is numbing down people to me.
yeah, and there's political stuff on there too, but I find it's all kind of, well, this is the problem I really kind of have with X or Twitter as well. A lot of the content on both of those platforms, because it's all short form, it's like political junk food. It's not really, it doesn't really nourish the mind. It sort of manipulates you a little bit. It's emotional stuff. It's divisive.
Plus, the replies are so little that at some point it's like you said, it's junk food basically. It's easily ideas put down in there just to make you sway on one side or the other.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What did you think of Melania's dress? Did you notice that?
Yeah. Revealing. Let's put it this way. No,
It wasn't revealing. It was like right up to here, man. It was like
she's beautiful in there.
it was
I
like
will
I
say.
thought it was just the most elegant thing today that I saw. It was just absolutely stunning.
Oh yeah, she's one beautiful woman. I will say.
Yeah, very, very classy. Just blew me away. That's got to be. I think that's maybe the classiest first lady. What do you call it? Outfit
Yeah.
that I've seen ever. It just absolutely. I don't know who the designer was. I never looked up the information, but just wickedly classy. Amazing, amazing. Great hat too today with that. So anyway, just commenting.
Let's go see
Very elegant.
designers. Uh-huh. Let's go see that.
Hmm.
It's Eric Javits. Javits.
Oh, okay.
Eric Javits. So,
Yeah.
no. Now we know something today.
Yeah, here, I'll bring up the BBC article on it with the photo in case people didn't get to see it. We did broadcast this stuff live, and we were on YouTube for a little while until they kicked us off.
I will
Well,
be
while Trump was saying that he was going to eliminate all censorship, he literally said that, and then they took our feed down off YouTube of the inauguration while he was saying it. Melania's hat, shorts in winter, and other eye-catching looks. Well, yeah, there's the hat, and look at the way, like just the way that comes up around her neck. It's just like, I don't know. Yeah, I just thought it was just super elegant.
Yeah.
And the
She's,
lapels, just very sharp and crisp look. Just today, like I don't never liked that light blue outfit she has on there, but this one today and that coat, wow, just stunning.
Yeah, she's a woman. That's what
Well,
it
it's
is.
not just that she's a woman; it's that the outfit was just like
Yeah,
just
well,
amazing.
she does have a lot of appeal, I will say.
Amazing,
As the
just
first lady, she does has a lot of appeal, and Trump must be pretty proud about it.
yeah. So this was Eric Javits is the designer. Um, oh no, so that's the hat. it was Adam Lippes. I don't know. I'm not familiar, so I'm probably pronouncing the name wrong.
Well, me and the fashion. Well, it's two. I'm not good in fashion, so
Yeah.
I'm good to fashion myself something, but
Well, there's Ivanka, and that was okay. I don't really care for the hat. The outfit's all right. But no, that one from Melania, that was just black and white and just classic elegance. Just beautiful.
yeah.
Great designer. Love that. And that was just her coat. It's just with a scarf, looks like. Anyway, just stunning. And the hat.
Yeah, to me, what was kind of impressing is looking at the parades.
Yeah.
Parades are amazing, I think. There's a lot of noise in there, but at the same time, it's beautiful noise. I mean, they're doing their thing pretty well, and I don't know. I got something for those drummers. I always like drumming around, so probably that's why.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see here. Oh, we had a call come in. So let's take a little break here, Dragon. I got to check on something, and we'll come back on the other side. What do I need to run here? I need to find our proper transition. We'll start with this.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on Earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching. The world is watching. On TV, the entire world is watching. On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
Okay, so Dragon, I'm getting word that
My audio
Trump
is
is.
better.
Yeah, can you get your microphone in closer, crank up your volume somehow because your audio's low?
Yeah,
And
I don't think I can. We'll see. Let's see that. Is it better now?
it could be. Yeah, just speak loudly, keep the
All
mic
right.
close, and we'll probably be in good shape. So, Trump has continued to work to. I think the goal here is to hit something like 200 executive orders today. We're now hearing that he has withdrawn from the Paris Climate Treaty. The J6 prisoners we're hearing will be released by midnight tonight.
Yep.
Now, I'm trying to find out if it's true that he has also now declared that there will be tariffs on China, Mexico, and Canada. I need to confirm that and find out what information specifically is connected to that. So I'm searching here as we are live on the air. So as I was saying with the, when Gail was on with us, I said, this ain't over. And Danielle Smith today saying, oh, it's great to have a reprieve from the tariffs. No, there's no reprieve. Mm-hmm. And this was going to go ahead regardless. And here we go. He's not waiting. So I just need to see if indeed he has initiated these tariffs as of tonight. Any comments?
Well, I just hope not, and he will revise this. I just hope because, well, look, we cannot live with those 25% tariff, right? It will blow off our economic, I think. So.
Yeah, and he has signed an executive order to withdraw from the World Health Organization. He's pardoned the Proud Boys, Joe Biggs. And they're in the process of releasing them now. Apparently, they'll all be out by midnight. And I think he's been on at least RSBN, maybe other media, some sort of a news conference or public statements, and he's come right out and called Joe Biden a criminal. It looks like he's going full bore, scorched earth, man.
Yep. Oh well, it's gonna be a weird 4 years, I think, and well, yeah, we'll see what this is going to look like from here. So this is day one. So brace yourself. It's gonna be a wild one.
Just checking. I'll get you the latest. So yes, okay, so this is all new. So here's what we've got. He has announced plans to impose tariffs on China, Canada, and Mexico. But has he actually initiated it tonight? I don't think he's actually done it yet. He's talked about the intention to do it still. So I think these reports coming in are premature still. But this is going to happen.
Oh, definitely.
Says here that there were announcements made through posts on Truth Social. Yeah, but I don't think he's actually signed anything yet. So it's still in process.
So yeah, you will. That's the point I wanted to make. You will actually pardon the January 6 people that was not too offensive or the non-violent criminal or guy that were there. And for those that had bigger tax or bigger accusation, will probably be not pardoned, but they will.
Yeah, your audio is cutting out there, Dragon. Something's going on.
All right, let's find out what's going on.
It's okay. You've got it now. It's back now.
Okay, it's probably my new headphone set, which is kind of weird. It's new, brand new. Technology nowadays, guys, cannot be always trusted.
That's okay. So, yeah, this is where we're at. And so we'll just have to keep our ear to the ground. There are conflicting reports out there tonight on whether he's actually signed an executive order declaring these tariffs now enacted or not, and I would say he hasn't. The most credible information I have is that he hasn't done that yet. But this other stuff, yeah, definitely he's going to town. And I'd say he's after revenge.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because we're talking like 1,500 J6 prisoners pardoned today. And they're all getting out of jail. Wow.
Yeah. Well.
And yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do about these pardons that Biden issued. I know that people are just hopping mad about it because, of course, Biden pardoned, his own family, Fauci, some military people, and I know Trump is going to be addressing that, but I'm not sure what he'll do about that, if anything. I don't know if he can really do anything moving ahead. I think that's going to be subject for debate.
Mm-hmm. It will be. I've been hearing that it might be on debate because of the legals surrounding it. So, yeah. We'll see. I mean, it's going to be like the next week is going to be crazy, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And we'll see a lot of things coming.
And these are like preemptive pardons that Biden has issued. And then, as I indicated earlier, during our broadcast of the actual inauguration, Biden in the wording for some of these, he said that they should not be the pardons themselves do not indicate that these people who are being preemptively pardoned have actually done anything wrong or illegal. And if they accept the pardon, that shouldn't be interpreted as an admission of guilt of any kind. So Biden he went in and handed out these preemptive pardons to people that he knew Trump would potentially be coming after. How do you feel about that, or what are your views on Trump doing this kind of thing, Dragon?
Well, it's a sort of persecution in a way, but, well, is it, right? Because, I mean, you have Hunter Biden that did so many bad things, right? I mean, in a way, his father does the pardon. I think it should be stand the way it is. I mean, it's going to be evolving around Biden for him and his legacy to have done these pardon. And I think Trump shouldn't just, leave that away and, brush it off for the moment.
Mm-hmm. But here's the thing, like Fauci was given a pardon by Biden.
Yep.
Preemptively. But I don't know how Trump, if he's going to go after somebody like Fauci for what happened during the pandemic and the vaccines and so on, how does he then excuse himself? Like ethically, because Trump's the guy who, initiated Operation Warp Speed. He's the father of the vaccine himself. He wanted full credit for it. He saw it as a hugely positive thing. I think that at the time, it was pretty clear that he needed these things approved in his mind, thinking that if he was able to do that, he'd be viewed as a hero. And if you go back and you look at the old news conferences and what he was saying at the time, he so wanted to be recognized and receive credit for the vaccines.
Yep.
And yet, today, I would say the MAGA base very much opposed to them, and yet he's the guy. But he gets a pass. But Fauci, they want his head on a stake. So I don't. To me, this is a little bit of a double standard. And people say, well, he got duped. He was tricked. Was he? Because even now, he still says that the vaccines saved a lot of lives, and yet he's going after Fauci. I don't know.
Well, no, you're right. If he goes after Fauci for XYZ reason, it's going to be a double standard because he's part of the warp speed operation. So, yeah. I mean, should he pardon himself for being part of the so-called, pandemic or whatever you want to call it? So
It doesn't seem right to me to hold other people accountable when you were the main guy in charge the whole time. And if it had been Biden in office, and in fact he was afterward. So it's a mess. The whole thing is a mess.
Oh, yeah, well, another 4 years of that, okay?
Pooh Bear says Trump was a puppet. Okay. But what does that mean? And then if he's a puppet, whose puppet was he? And does that excuse him for what he did? He's still the president.
Yeah, if you stand by your own, if you stand by your words and you stand by your conviction, normally you don't sway down to other people because it will make you go down their path, basically. And you don't want that. So is that why Trump has a new, say, a new organization behind him? That's probably why. I mean, let's look it up this way. It's probably a conspiracy theory I'm just putting out there, but it could explain a few things.
And then, Greg is saying, I remember Joe and Kamala both said they wouldn't take Trump's vaccine. A lot of because it was all politicized, right? And so, a lot of Democrats at the time were saying, well, I won't take it if it's Trump's vaccine. Of course, then Biden comes into office and then they pushed it and they all did. But, heavy duty politics surrounding all of this. And Antonio says, I see evil. Yes. Yeah. And Bond says, no, he went along with it. He bent under the pressure. Warp speed for the injections was his program, but I do think he was getting mega pressure to conform. No doubt. Yeah. And I think he saw it as a potentially useful political tool that would accelerate him toward re-election for a second term, but it didn't work out that way. I also was quite aware, it was quite apparent that the pharmaceutical companies at the time did not want to give him credit. They were delaying everything. They didn't want to say that they had received approval actually until after the election was over, right? And there was like a delay. They were trying to delay it, and he was like, no, I want this thing out. I want it out. And it was his deal, man. It was his deal. And because they all saw it as some sort of a PR, positive political relations thing at the time, Trump included, when it was first being rolled out. And potentially it could have been if it had been a very effective thing. But for various reasons, a lot of people, of course, expressed concerns in the end. But, Trump, he still is on the pro-vaccine side. But he says, of course, you have your choice. You have your freedom. You didn't have to do it.
Well, don't get me wrong. I mean, if tomorrow morning you, Rick, or even myself, have the power to do some executive orders or whatever it is, because you got so much power, and there's a new thing coming like a flu, and you can probably provide help for that. You will try to be like the first guy that will push a solution, I think. Right? So yeah, it's a PR thing.
All right, let's go to the phones here. We got a call coming in. Who's on the line with us?
Well, good evening, Maverick News family. Rimby John out of Alberta, the trader.
Well, you traitorous Albertan. Yeah, I told you the other night. You better watch it because I'm getting that canoe ready. I've already started working on it, dude. I'm coming for you as soon as the weather turns warm.
Hey, Dragon, love you, my friend, my cohort. I'm Alberta. You're Montreal. Dragon, I love you. You look like you're out of a Pink Panther movie. Jacques Cousteau. I love the new look. It's very official.
Well, you had a bit of you should have called earlier, John. You had somebody who's a little bit of an ally on earlier, and Gail. She's kind of in your camp, and she's all the way up from out here in Ontario. So you have an Ontario trader, you know. Well, she's not really. I think she's got a more nuanced position on it. But you, my friend, you are a traitorous Albertan.
Oh, Rick, I'm sending my private oil jet for you for that. You can pick Sylvan Lake, Buck Lake, Pigeon Lake, or many swamps, and we'll have that hockey game, my friend.
Yeah, well, swampy canoes, and with hockey sticks, and I'm gonna do my my hockey stick chop right across your bow. And then you're going down.
Hey guys, you know, Dragon, I gotta tip my hat to you. When I lived in Ontario, my friend, and from Alberta, I gotta say the most incredible city in the world next to New York and Washington, D.C. is Montreal. I partied many weekends there, my friend, had many incredible dinners, and the antiques there are incredible. And I was always treated Ricky Rickster, like Rolls Royce. I didn't speak French, and I told them I'm from Alberta, and they said, what can we do for you? You're a hockey team. We love you. And I got to tell you, in all seriousness, one of the most incredible cities in the world, next to New York, is Montreal. And I never made it to Quebec City, but that's even better. That's old Europe, my friend.
So, what was your? Give me your takeaways.
Here we go, Rimby John. Here we go.
Yeah,
I was deeply touched with the inauguration today of Donald J. Trump. I thought I watched it on ABC News, YouTube, David Mirror.
You watched on ABC. Why weren't you watching it on here?
Well, I was between about 4 channels, my friend. But I've got
traitor.
To say, I was really, I've got to tip my hand to what a strategic move. Melania Trump, I think, will go down as one of the most incredible first ladies in the United States. What a strategy to wear that black hat with I thought that was, I mean, she stood out. She's international news now. Stood out. I thought it was really classy. And Barron Trump, yeah, I thought it's a new dawn, a new golden age. Let's give the orange orangutan a little bit of leadway.
I need your view on this. What is this with Elon Musk and his arm thing? Have you seen it?
I have seen it, and I think it's a little weird.
The Nazi salute, like seriously.
Well, no. Let's not go there. No, let's not go there. No, if you're going to talk about anything to do with a Nazi, let's look back at last night. Chrystia Freeland is a Nazi Freeland. Come on. Elon Musk had a really strange encounter with Barron today. If you watched it on the news.
I'm serious, man. Like, what do you think of this thing that he did?
I think weird.
I don't know how you excuse that. I just come on, man. Like, I just don't know how. Like, seriously. Like, look. I don't know.
the angle of his end is pretty accurate.
It's embarrassing, Rick.
Oh, it sure
To
is,
the
yeah.
celebration today, it's a big insult.
Yeah, it mars the whole thing, you know?
Absolutely.
And then, like, if it was like, I don't know, if it was like, if I could come up with a reason why it was like inadvertent or a mistake, an impulsive gesture, but he did it twice, and he's genius level, politically savvy, knows he's been accused of being one of those things many times. He has to be sensitive to it, and yet he still did it.
But I think, Rick, I was following Maverick, of course, and our sister station Rumble News out of Canada, but ABC News Live on YouTube, and the close-in camera shots of Elon Musk is, I think he's got alleged Asperger's, but he had a very unusual interaction with Baron Trump. Just a little, and if you look at Elon Musk with his facial expressions and whatever, a little on the weird side. And Halloween has not come yet in 2025. I don't know. I know. What do you think, Rick? I don't get it.
I find it really hard to excuse what he did because of just what I said. He's got to know better, especially at this point, especially after the constant accusations of people in MAGA being, the end thing, and yet he did that. I just can't imagine that he isn't acutely aware of how that might be a frickin' problem. And yet he did it not once, but twice.
On purpose. Come on. That had to be done on purpose, Rick.
If it's done on purpose, then that's really sick.
Well, Trump, Mr. Trump, the orange orangutan, excuse me, allegedly, and we love the Trumpster out of Alberta, but we got to put the caution flags up. There's some strange things going on here,
right here, man. Something's really not right. Something's not right.
But I thought,
I'll tell you what, John. I'll tell you that the neo-Nazi brigades online, they're all going nuts over this. They're loving it, and they're using it.
Rick, Obama showed up, no Michelle.
Yeah.
I thought that was disrespectful. Not for Michelle or the Trumps, but I just thought, and here's the thing, Rickster and Dragon, the office of the President of the United States must be respected at all times around the world. No different than the Prime Minister of Canada or Britain, England. The office needs to be respected for the democracy. And I think there was a little, kind of some thumbs down today on what went on with Trump. No Michelle Obama, the Vice President, no wife with him.
Well, Biden showed up, and Dr. Jill was there. Keep in mind that 4 years ago, Trump didn't go to Biden's inauguration, and neither did Melania. So what goes around comes around to some degree, but the Bidens showed up to his.
Well, Rick, I'm working my contacts, and we got Pastor Pawlowski down there working stuff for us. I tried to work my way in between two limousine shots there and between, but it never happened. So anyways, I'm working. But can you imagine being in those limousines and listening to private conversations? It would have been either dead silence at a funeral or a lot of chatter. The young and the restless as the stomach turns.
Did you see the moment when J.D. Vance was walking out to the car with Kamala Harris?
Yes.
And did you notice what happened? The doors are being held open, right? And Kamala Harris gets into the car, and J.D. Vance expects to get in from the same side. He's expecting
but he went around the other side.
Yeah, he was thinking she was going to shuffle over, but she wouldn't move for him. She was like, "Go around." Go around,
And
worm.
then there was an aid. I think there was an aid, Rickster, between the two of them to keep the peace.
I hope maybe they needed that. But yeah, he thought she'd shuffle over. She wasn't moving for the guy. She made him go around. And so he had to. He went to climb in the car and it was like, nope, not letting you in, dude. You got to go to the other side. So he had to walk all the way around the car and get on the far side. See, normally you would shuffle over for security reasons even, right? But no, because they open the one door and everybody piles in on the one side, but she didn't move. She made him walk around.
Well, Rick, I tried.
I think
as
they don't like
Maverick
each
News-
other very much.
Rick is the Maverick News family, Rimby John Boots on the ground, Maverick News, and Dragon. I was going to try and put myself between Sleepy Joe Biden and our new president-elect Trump, but I couldn't get in the limo, Rick. But I couldn't. I would sit between them and listen to it, having a Tim Horton coffee, Canadian. Hey, with my hockey stick.
No love lost, man. And I would say Trump is out for political blood. I don't think this time there's any messing around. This is different. Tone is different. I think that there's going to be like really nasty stuff, and pretty quick too. Pretty quick this time. I mean, last time it was like, he really did. He said he was going to, lock her up and all of that stuff, right? And nothing really ever happened. This time, I'm not so sure. I think maybe it's going to happen. We'll see.
Actually, Rickster, you went from Ricky to Rickster. I thought the inauguration today was much more personal from a Canadian point of view because it was indoors and the cameras were so close in everybody's face. Everybody, whether you're Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, Separatist, Independent, I thought it was a much more personal event than being, because, Washington was so cold today. I thought it was an interesting switch, and it is Martin Luther King Day today. And the first time since, I think, Ronald Reagan's second presidency that they'd had to be inside because it was so cold. So cold. You had to do it inside. I thought it was interesting, but and I thought it was really interesting and historic. Let's not forget, very, very historic.
Yeah, Greg wants me to say the N-word, and I have said it a couple of times. It's just that I know that on certain social media platforms, if you say that word, it triggers the bots and the algorithm, and the next thing you know, they've flagged your videos. So no, I'm not going to say it too much.
Rickster, the N-word is not go to Rebel News. You got to stay with mavericknews.ca on Rumble. Yeah. Not go to Rebel News. You get all your news from mavericknews.ca.
Well, I don't really care if people go to other news programs, as long as you come here too. So.
You know what, Rick? Again, thank you very much. A final thought. I'll beat you to it. But final thought from Rimby John, Boots on the Ground, Alberta. Thank you again, sir, for the incredible, honest platform you provide worldwide, and may God bless our American friends today, our friends and family in the United States with a new president-elect, Donald Trump, now sworn in, number 47, whether you like him or not. And, may God bless the United States of America. In God we trust, they trust, but Rickster, may God bless Canada, and for all we trust, because Canada is one of the most incredible countries in the world. Thank you to Dragon for all your reporting. Canada is one of the most incredible countries in the world. God has blessed us, and did God bless the United States today with a new president? Yes, they did. But God blesses Canada all the time. And we forget that, Rickster. We're so lucky and fortunate. And you may be in Chatham, Dragons in Montreal. I'm in Rimby, Alberta, which is one of the greatest places to be in Alberta, oil rich. But we love everybody, and we share everything. And we have so much in common.
Okay. Hey, John, we gotta wrap this up because I gotta go to a clip. Sorry, I got
final thought. Peace around the world, and I gotta send out a shout out to my friends. MaverickPizza.com. I love those guys, and no, I don't get any free pizza from them, but
Okay. All right. Okay. Got to sign off, my friend.
love you. MaverickPizza.com, Calgary, Varsity Drive, Northwest. Love you guys.
All right. See you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. And so, Dragon, we are getting confirmation here now that Trump has said that he will enact a 25% tariff on Canada by February 1st. We've got a clip here. Let's go to it.
Where are you thinking on tariffs on Mexico, given these actions you're signing on the border?
Well, we're thinking in terms of 25% on Mexico and Canada because they're allowing vast numbers of people. Canada's a very bad abuser also. Vast numbers of people to come in and fentanyl to come in.
When do you think you would enact those?
I think February 1st.
Are you planning on giving notice of that?
I think we'll do it February 1st.
There it is.
12 days.
So it didn't actually sign it yet today, but yeah, he's given us a date now, and it's a very real thing. A lot of people said, "Oh, he'll never do it." Oh, it looks like he's doing it, and he's tying this to the border. But again, like I don't know, he's making their problem our problem. I understand the trying to control the drug trade and so on. I want to see some real hard evidence and some real numbers on this. I want some data so that I can be better informed on what the scope of this problem really is, and real information, like not speculative stuff, or because he's been exaggerating a lot of things in this regard. So especially on the trade numbers and subsidies, things like that, he's like way out of whack, some of these numbers that he's been throwing around.
Trump it's one of his trademark, if you will. He will always amplify thing, and that's the way he's always I think express himself.
Yeah.
When it's 10, he's gonna put 20 just to make it look like inflated, and then.
And look, man, people are saying, well, you shouldn't be threatening him, and we need to be negotiating. He's not even negotiating. He's just announced a date. He's doing this, and now we're all going to have to scramble. And he wants, hello, no. And he wasn't talking like this during the campaign, so there was really no way for anybody to know this was coming to this degree. The Panama Canal, I was aware of that being an issue for at least a year prior, but he wasn't really talking about it much. It was just other people in his sphere, right?
Yep.
In his little universe, and social media influencers. There were stories about it. So I was aware about the concerns surrounding what's going on down in Panama and Chinese involvement in the canal. And there's immigration issues down there too. So that was sort of on my radar, but the tariff thing, 51st state stuff, I wasn't expecting this coming from him. I don't think anybody was.
No, I was surprised like everyone when he started this joke, if you will. And now that we have the tariff coming in 12 days, well, I'm like, yeah, that's going to be a fun ride, huh?
Mm-hmm.
The next 4 years is going to be fun to look at.
Now, that being said, I mean, he's saying February 1st for the tariffs, but of course that gives us, well, how many days? Let's look at a calendar.
12.
12 days. Oh, did you? Okay, so 12 days. The 12 days before the tariffs. On the first day of the tariffs.
Yeah, because we're the 20th anyway, and on the 11th day, we're going to be on 31st. So a day later, will be 1st February. So, yeah. Brace yourself, guys, because it's going to cost a lot.
Well, guys, that's the way it is on this 20th day of January 2025, Inauguration Day. Donald Trump making history, taking the oath of office again for the second time, and taking unprecedented steps to, I'm not going to say make America great again.
I was about to say screw the country.
I just don't see this as positive stuff myself, but wow. Wow.
And I'm sorry, I'm just joking, guys. I'm just trying to be humoristic with the situation here. So.
And Patty says President Trump wants something, Canada will give it to him, and no tariffs is how I see this going. Very well, could happen that way. Let's hope that we can work this thing out, and let this be a lesson to Canada. We need to diversify our trading relationships and become less reliant on the United States. That means building pipelines from one coast to the other, east to west. So yeah, we need to get to work on all of that and come up with some longer term strategies to make sure that we have some diversity in our economy. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think Canada has kind of, put themselves into a corner with all those years and kind of gone
Patty, like this is the thing I don't understand. You think making America great is letting Canada to continue to fleece America. In what way do we fleece America? Like, explain it to me. Because it's not true. It's just simply not true. Like, please explain it to me. How do we exploit or fleece America? Like, they don't. He's saying that they subsidize us. No, they don't. We don't get subsidies from the United States. They don't send up like boatloads of money. It's not like Obama was, flying in plane loads of cash like he did to Iran. Not to us.
Good
and we
point.
we sell our oil below market value to the U.S. I don't see how we fleece anybody on the U.S. side.
And look, guys, you got to not forget one thing. Free market or trade market with two countries, it's not always 50-50 on each side. Sometimes I'm going to give something more or Rick's going to give me something more than I will give him. But everyone's going to be happy at the end of the day because everyone will kind of produce for each other's and contribute, right? So,
Patty, the United States needs us in order to protect their border. We give them access to our sovereign territory, especially in the Arctic, and work with them to make sure that they are secure. If it wasn't for us giving them access to our territorial space, they would have a real problem. They wouldn't have early warning the way that they do against ICBMs, for instance, or other countries coming into this hemisphere. They need Canada for that. They need Greenland for that matter. And we don't sit there and block access. We cooperate. We've been allies, since like forever, practically since the formation of Canada. They do pay a lot in defense, but that's because this is the thing. The United States was the nuclear power in the world, especially after the fall of the Soviet Union. In order to prevent the proliferation of nuclear weapons worldwide, they had to take on a leadership role because they had the nukes. So it became their job, their obligation to protect other countries against coercion from hostile sovereign nation states. So otherwise, all countries would be pursuing nuclear weapons programs to acquire weapons in order to have a defense against other nuclear powers. But the United States took on the role saying, if you promise not to have nuclear weapons, you're not allowed to have them, we'll protect you. We'll take care of this. We'll make sure that the world is a stable place. And that's the obligation that comes with being a superpower on both sides. That was what the Soviet Union really was to some degree supposed to be tasked with as well. They had their own approach, and they had the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union fell. The United States really became the sole unipolar nuclear superpower in the world, although Russia still had nukes, still does. But with that, like Canada, we don't have nuclear missiles. We don't have missiles on our soil pointing, at the United States, and they don't want that, so we're not really allowed to do that. That's why they have to take on that main rule of defense. And as a result of all of that, why do you think the United States really has the world reserve currency? It's because they're the big superpower. They're Godzilla. So they have the power of all that behind them. It's not the gold standard. It isn't even really the oil. The Middle Eastern oil out of Saudi Arabia, that, they had to make that deal. Saudi Arabia forced everybody to buy oil with US dollars to make sure that supported the US currency worldwide. That's why they call it the petrodollar. But in return, it was the United States providing military security to Saudi Arabia and other countries in exchange for all of that. So it isn't really just a petrodollar, it's a nuclear dollar. Make no mistake about that. And now, with a multipolar geopolitical reality emerging, the dollar's under pressure because the power of the United States is really being threatened. A lot of what you're seeing going on today from Trump is all related to that. The petrodollar, that's why he wants to drill, baby, drill. He wants to prop up the dollar with U.S. oil in the face of instability in the Middle East and because of what's going on with Russia and the BRICS nations. These are assaults in a fifth generation war between superpowers, China, Russia, potentially maybe Iran if they get the nukes as well. This is very destabilizing to everything. It's a new geopolitical reality, and Trump is sort of trying to position the United States in a way that will preserve U.S. economic dominance around the world.
Yep.
And that's how Canada plays into this too. They want he's got his eye on Alberta oil because of all of this, and he's got his eye on Canada for security reasons. And I'm not even sure. I don't even really know what his real motives are. The thing is, it's very weird. As I say, there's something not right, something unusual, and very uncomfortable about all of this, because we are his ally. NATO was already an ally. The European countries, allies. And yet he's picking fights with everybody. Mexico even, an ally.
Mm-hmm.
And he's picking fights. It's counter logical to me. It's upside down world. But we'll see how it plays out. I'm just hoping that this is just his style in the end and we get to a positive place and maybe I can like him again. I'd like to do that, but I love my country, and I don't want to lose it, man. What about you, Dragon?
I don't know if you know or if you have seen or observed the same thing, but since he has been shot the first time to the ears, things have changed, and he became some sort of what I would call a Trump Napoleon syndrome.
Why isn't Mexico an ally? Of course they're an ally. Mexico's kind of an ally. It's a big trading partner with the United States.
It is an ally to us.
Yeah, they're not an enemy of the United States. They're not an enemy of Canada.
We're not an ally, military speaking, but we do have trades with Mexico. So yeah.
Well, for crying out loud.
But I mean, I've never been asking myself if Mexico is part of any alliance.
A Canada-USA partnership would not lose Canada; it would liberate it. In what way? Oh, we're already partners. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about making it the 51st state and an economic union with a U.S. dollar instead of a Canadian dollar. It takes away our economic sovereignty. Mm-hmm. It takes away the ability for Canada to determine its own economic destiny even. It would actually limit, in many ways, our trading relationships with other countries. Potentially, not even potentially, it just would. It would tie us, indefinitely, maybe forever, to the United States in ways that we're not bound right now. So it's not very liberating, not really. It becomes in a way more restrictive. Now, it could result in more economic prosperity, because you become part of a large trading bloc, and I can see some efficiencies there and so on. But you're going to give up a lot. You're going to give up your right to self-determination as a sovereign country. You guys are always worried about giving up our sovereignty, and Trudeau's taking our sovereignty. Do you even know what sovereignty means, folks? It means self-determination. We make our own laws. We decide how we're going to support our communities. We have fiscal policies of our own. It's all about how you fund things. The economy is the backbone of any society, and if you lose control of that, the United States is the bigger player, so they're going to swallow up Canada whole, and then you're just part of their system. That's not liberating. That's assimilation, and there's a big difference, huge difference. And we've got a lot of history up here, man. We are a different country.
You said the word assimilation.
Yeah, that's what it would amount to. It's not liberating. It's not liberating at all. And yet,
think of it like the Borgs in Star Trek, when they come and colonize places, and they go and said, "We're going to take you." How they say that? What is the phrase that they say?
a Canadian state or territory, she says, in the American Union would mean Canada's sovereignty would be protected and ensured. No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. Quite the opposite. Then you become part of the United States, giving up Canadian sovereignty. It would dissolve your federal government. You wouldn't have a Canadian nation state anymore. Canada would cease to exist. It would become part of the United States. You might call it something, but then you've got this Constitution would no longer apply. None of these, your law, you wouldn't have your laws anymore. You wouldn't have, anything Canadian. It would all be gone. And you'd be under, it would be an American system. You'd be part of America. You'd just be an extension of America. It's not like, Hawaii is not a sovereign nation state. It's part of the United States. Puerto Rico, they don't even have full rights, but they're sort of part of America, right?
Alaska.
That's a state, but it's not its own country. Canada's its own country. We've got our own currency. This is what defines a country. You have your own military, so you can defend it. You have your own currency, so you can make up, your own fiscal policies. How you're going to spend your money. How you going to tax people. What your tax rate is. What you spend it on. You're going to spend it on roads. You're going to spend it on employment insurance, health care. What are you going to spend your money on? If you're like JT, he likes to fly around the world and give it out to other countries. But I wouldn't do that if I were the prime minister. You got to elect people who don't do that kind of thing. But that doesn't mean you throw the whole country down the toilet because you've got a guy that was doing stuff you don't like. No, this is not liberating at all. Not at all. This would be a takeover, assimilation. And that's what the United States has been about, which people lose sight of. The United States has always been a country that has been a melting pot. They take things from around the world and they melt it all into one, from many one, right? E pluribus unum. That's really what that means. Blending everything together. There's an advantage to that when it's actually done, because then you have cohesion socially. You have more stability because people have the nation state, the country in common, and they can find common pride in that. That's nationalism to a great degree, which is kind of what Trump is getting back to with this populist movement called MAGA. And in Canada, we've been a mosaic, a cultural mosaic, where we allow people and encourage people to keep their identities and be diverse. And that's a very sort of liberal idea. And I don't mean liberal in the sense of a big L liberal party idea. I mean, that is a classical liberal kind of approach. And I'm not sure that it's always worked, but we could even make adjustments to that over time. But Canada is a very unique place. That's why Dragon is up there. Hey, can you say sadomasochistic in French for me? Well, say it English with your French accent.
sadomasochiste.
There you go. See, and that's what the ladies love, and that's why he's so charming, because of his dragon's French accent. You go to Newfoundland, people speak differently out there. We have our own culture across the country, various kind of cultures, but it's all distinctly Canadian, and we have our own sort of history, and we've taken a different approach to politics, and we've been able to largely avoid a lot of violence up here that they haven't been able to avoid in the United States. I keep saying this over and over again. Canada was founded as a country of conciliation and compromise so that we can get along together without having like a civil war. The United States wasn't able to avoid that, and that country was born out of violence, and that's why you get more of a gun culture down there. And in Canada, it's different, and I love this place. And we do have problems, but we can fix them. That's my position.
We're a dysfunctional family.
Yeah,
with
they
some
do, but
problem.
and you know, she's saying people speak French in USA too, Rick. Yeah, but it's not like Brian Mulroney, when he was prime minister, sort of addressed this. You know, he said that, you know, the French speaking people in parts of the United States, it's a watered down kind of a French culture. It's not really like, you know, in Dragon, you can address this for us, okay? Because you're right there in Montreal, the heart of all of this, right? Explain to us, how important is it to the people in Quebec to preserve their language, preserve their culture within what has become Canada, and why it's important, and how it's different than sort of a watered down U.S. version of
Well, I
French
don't think
culture.
it's true that it's watered down. Probably in the U.S. it is, because
That's what I mean. Yeah, there it is.
In the U.S., you got small little portion of cities that is French in a big country which is English, like just English, right?
Mhm.
And Canada is kind of part French and English. Everywhere you're gonna go, you're gonna have some French people around. So this is where the difference between the French culture in Canada and America is pretty different, I think. And this is where we need to preserve that.
Yeah, you know, like, but if you go down to like, I don't know, like go down to Louisiana, and it's not the same kind of culture. Like they speak French, but it's not like Canadian
Cajun.
French. Yeah, it's Cajun, right?
Yeah, Cajun.
Yeah, it's different. It's a totally different kind of thing, and that's because over time, because of the melting pot effect, the culture has been shifted, changed over time, right? That's the U.S. effect on culture.
For the Marvel friends here, you know, Remy Lebeau, Gambit is Cajun. Listen to the movie the latest Marvel movie. I think it was Wolverine with Deadpool. You got Gambit there. You got a perfect example when you speak French. It's that kind of French. And our French language is pretty different.
It is a different culture.
And
it's,
look,
you know,
even in Quebec, you got like many little territories, all right? And if you go, for example, in Lac Saint-Jean, people doesn't speak with the same accent. It's basically the same thing if you go in, if you compare New Yorkers to a Texas guy. Their English, the accent's gonna be different. It's still American English, but
yeah. And you know, here's another big issue, and people are not thinking about this, right? If you've got kids, young kids, I've got kids. They're, you know, in their 20s, right? If there's a war, if everything in the world escalates the way I'm afraid that it is, and there is a war, do you want your kids drafted? Do you want your kids to go off to war? I want to be able to make that decision up here, because there have been times when Canada has split from the United States on various wars. Vietnam, people who didn't want to go to Vietnam, a lot of them from the United States, where'd they go? Canada. Iraq, people keep citing Iraq. Rick, what about Iraq? Yeah, mistakes were made in Iraq. Canada did not fully participate in the Iraq War. The Canadian government at that time said, no, not really. We're just going to be over there in a sort of a supportive role, but we're not really going to go in there with you. If you look back, people here don't realize it. People don't remember. But Canada stood against it. And the United States has paid a heavy price around the world in terms of its image because of the mistakes made there. But if we become part of the United States, we don't have that sovereign right anymore. If they have a draft, your kids are going. They're going to be drafted too. If the president decides, or Congress decides that they're going to go to war, we're going to war with them. We don't get to decide one way or the other. We lose that. And I personally, as a Canadian, I value that right to self-determination. That's an important thing to hold on to. Because I don't think the United States always makes the right decisions in that way. And I think Canada overall has a better track record when it comes to, issues of war, what wars we support, and a longer history of peacekeeping roles as well. And that's really where Canada should be and needs to get back to as much as possible. You don't want to participate in wars? Well, then you better hold on to your right to have a say here in Canada, because we don't always just follow along.
Because to be quite honest, I'm not a cannon folders, and if tomorrow morning I would be to be drafted for any kind of law, I would probably do the same thing that I think it was René Lévesque, who was actually also a journalist before becoming a politic guy, and I've seen a lot of people shooting themselves in the foot just not to go to war.
So,
just saying.
Yeah. So I love Canada, and I'm going to stand up for it, and that's the bottom line. If you don't love it and you want to give up on it, I guess you're free to do that because it's a free country. But then quit flying your damn Canadian flags and pretending that you're patriots, because you're not. Simple as that. Mm-hmm. And then you're sitting there and you're complaining about foreign influence and infiltration in our own government. Well, you're ready to sell the country out and join another country, give up our sovereignty like that. And you sit there and you complain all the time, so many of you. And, not everybody in there, but a whole bunch of people. It's like, well, they just want to come and take our resources. Yeah, what the hell do you think they're doing right now? What do you think they're doing? And this is the guy that you thought was going to save you. So I'm just saying, don't pretend to be stop using the word patriot, because you're not. Stop flying that Canadian flag right side up or upside down, because you don't give a damn. And if you don't love the country, go ahead and leave. Head on down to the United States and see if their immigration department will take you. See if they want you. Because it seems like they're getting ready to push a whole bunch of people up here. And that's going to divide the country even more too. And then we're going to have another big fight on our hands when they start pushing those millions of people toward us. And then we're going to have a hard choice to make. Do we take these people in, or do we try to turn them back? And if we turn them back, what happens then? What is the United States going to do then? What's Trump going to do then? He wants that border tightened up. This is going to be a problem, folks. Potentially. I'm hoping it doesn't play out to that degree, but seems like that is potentially where it's going. He's not messing around. He is not screwing around.
If we don't take those people coming in, the European Union can come and say, no, you got to take them, Canada, because they got nowhere to go, because it would be with the Geneva Convention, if I'm not mistaken, to take them, because if not, we're basically doing something wrong.
Yeah. We need, if I were the leader, I would be down in the States talking to governors, business leaders down there. I'd be forging and reinforcing positive relationships that I have with all kinds of people like that, people that can put pressure on the federal government, Trump, to make sure that we get a positive outcome out of all this stuff. I'd be working on it like that. I wouldn't necessarily be going directly to Trump and sucking up to him. Of course, I'd be talking to him, but you need leverage. You need leverage. I'd be making all kinds of side deals with governors. You want energy, you want minerals, you want jobs in your state. We need stuff over here. Make deals with these governors. They've got their own set of power down there, just as premiers up here have their own set of powers as well. There are a lot of things that can be done, a lot, and we can be working out deals. And we need to be talking to Europe more and integrating our trade more with them. I'd be building those pipelines toot sweet, east to west. And I'd be getting heavy-handed about that stuff too. Enough of all this mamby-pamby, blockades and protests this and everything else. I'd be expropriating land where necessary and doing things that were right for communities. I'd certainly be consulting with people, but I'd be making sure that those things got finished, those pipelines. And I'd be initiating a lot more international trade, not just for our resources, but I'd also be bringing manufacturing here. And you know what you do? You know what you do? You take the opposite approach to what a lot of these other people who I see all the time. Canada is just a myth. It's just a corporation. We need to bring all of our central banking in here and have interest. They don't understand how it works. You know what we need? We need a hell of a lot more international investment. So you open up the whole country for business and you set up low taxes, lots of incentives to flood this country with international investment. That's what you do. You make this a low tax zone. And you give lots of incentives to foreign countries to come here and invest tons of money, setting up all kinds of factories. And you go and you compete with the United States for those factories and those jobs. And you go to town that way. And then you make this place a manufacturing powerhouse. And we've got the resources here, and you process everything here and manufacture things here, and you export that stuff around the world.
And good point.
And we've got the tech know-how here. We've got the universities. We have the brain power already in place. Canada is uniquely positioned, and we have to take steps to stop the brain drain to the United States and other countries. But we've got the expertise right here. Yeah, we need AI facilities here. We need more power. We need to set up more power plants to power all of this stuff. You just got to different fiscal policies to attract investment so that we don't have to finance everything with our tax dollars, which is the opposite of what Trudeau has been doing. Let's electrify the auto industry. We'll take tons, like billions of dollars, and dump it into big corporations to tell them what they're going to produce, which is electric car batteries and electric vehicles. That's not the way to do it. No, you set up a system, you set up an environment to attract investment, pro-business, so that companies come in and invest in those industries. Low regulation, streamlined, expedite construction of facilities, make it a pro-business powerhouse. That's what you do. Unleash the true free market and not try to finance everything on the backs of taxpayers. Turn it the other way around. And make sure you've got a diversity of foreign investment in the country, not just one country, but a bunch, so that you're safer that way, and no one country has a real dominant hold over your sovereignty, so that we still retain our self-determination. That's the way to do it.
It is.
So,
look, I don't know if you will be on the same opinion that I am right now on that, but it's true that with the trade that we have done with the years, we did also kind of isolate ourselves from other country, or the way that we were trading, if you will. So we need probably to divest more and create more incentive and more economic opportunities. So yeah.
And Patty is saying, Rick, without the United States, you'll become a vassal state of China. Not necessarily. We can be doing a lot of trade with China, and we should. We already do. We should do more with Mexico. We should do more with Central America. We should be doing more with Europe. We should be doing more with Germany. And all these auto companies, they're not just U.S. companies anymore. They're international corporations. They're global companies. So they're not tied directly to the United States. Not anymore. Ford, GM, Stellantis, they're international companies, not American anymore. So Donald Trump has no hold on them. They simply go where they're going to make the most money. So you create an environment, and we can do it right here where they can make the most money. Simple as that. Make it lucrative. And they will come. And, that in itself might represent some sort of a threat to the United States, but it doesn't have to be. It can be complementary. But none of this has to be happening. Not like this. None of it. In my view, and that's the approach that I would take. And I'd be leveraging artificial intelligence to achieve unprecedented levels of efficiency in production. Because that's also how, you grow your way out of your debts. And I'd be investing in a lot of things that we traditionally have not been investing in. And I'd just be looking for other ways to reinforce our sovereignty, not give it up and just become assimilated into, the super monster country to our south. I don't think that's where we want to go.
Mm-hmm. Country has become now a market kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And everyone wants to subsidize everyone in a certain way. China wants to subsidize Taiwan. We probably going to be subsidized by the U.S. or U.S. try to subsidize Greenland. Who knows where we're going now? So, yeah. I'm not sure what's going to be happening for the next 4 years, but it's going to be a hell of a ride.
The president is back in town. Eat a bag of demon dicks, Ricky Poo. That's what Glitch says. Okay. I'll tell you this. I hope Trump levels things out, and I hope we get positive outcomes across the board, in which case I can like him again. But if he continues down this path, he's going to leave office very unpopular, because this is not going to be good for the United States. It will not. It won't be good for the world. It won't be good for anybody. This will be very, very destructive. Something's got to change, and quick, but I think we're going in the wrong direction. This is a big mistake.
Yeah, and historically speaking, if we go down to the path of believing that every empire has 250 years of lifespan, U.S. is at that point, by the way, guys.
USA would partner with Canada. China will enslave it, and you won't have sovereignty.
No.
What is sovereignty, Patty? It's our own country. Donald Trump is talking about annexing us. That means we don't have a choice. That means we don't have any sovereignty. I don't want to live in a country that just annexed us. That's BS. That's BS. Complete crap. You don't know what you're talking about. And trading with China doesn't mean China's going to take us over. China's got some influence here, and we have some problems with China because they're very aggressive. But we should be doing trade with all countries, China included, and we already do. And so does the USA. This is their problem. But it doesn't have to be a problem for them. It's because of Nixon, and China owes everything to the United States and the West, really, because they built their entire economy up by building stuff and shipping it here. And then we buy it from them. But if it wasn't for the Western economies, they wouldn't have an economy. And it was only because Nixon went there and invited them to basically come into the Western economic system that China was able to lift itself up by engaging in commerce with Western countries and the Western economic system and build on that. That's why. You need people. A lot of people don't understand that. But now, they're as big as the United States, practically, economically. But it's an intertwined relationship. Canada's part of that, too. and we should continue to trade with them, but it doesn't mean they have to. That doesn't mean they have to be a threat to our sovereignty, and we shouldn't allow that to happen. Then we need to be doing more business with all these different countries, even Russia. As soon as we kind of get things smoothed over there, we can be doing business all over the world. So let's just see how it plays out, I guess. Don't shoot me just because I love Canada. I mean, I've been sitting here fighting for this country since we started this program. That's largely what it was all about, fighting for freedom, fighting for Canada. I'm not giving up on this place. I'm not. And it just means coming up with answers.
Yep.
Anyway, Dragon, final thought from you. We're going to wrap up for the night.
Well, for the rest of the week, guys, I would oblige you to take your coat out. Make sure that you wear at least 3 or 4 pair of pants and everything, because it's gonna get cold.
Good advice. Keep your gonads warm. And Patty, it says, if Canada becomes basically an economic threat, then it would be over. It would be a war. Yeah, but see, just because we build our economy up doesn't mean if Canada starts trying to harm America economically, then that would be war, Rick. Well, we don't have to hurt them economically. We don't. Trump's doing that to himself with these tariffs. He's just making everything expensive for his own people down in the States. So we're not hurting him. And if we build up our economy, it doesn't mean we're hurting the United States. It means that we're just prosperous up here and we can do more business with them. If they stop charging a 25% tariff on everything we produce for them, it's all upside down world, man.
You know, trade war, the word says it, trade war. And in a war, sometime you got people that shoot themselves in the foot.
Well, yeah, we didn't pick this. We didn't choose this. We didn't start this. The guy down there did, and it's supposed to take hold on February 1st. Well, we didn't. That's not us. We didn't initiate this. Nobody did. Not Doug Ford. Not Danielle Smith. Not Justin Trudeau or Chrystia Freeland or Pierre Poilievre. It wasn't Dragon. It wasn't me. It wasn't you. It was one guy, Donald Trump. So when the jobs start disappearing, and you can't put food on the table because the Canadian economy tanks, there's one guy to blame. There'll be one guy to blame. And I hope it doesn't come to that. I hope this is just like a bunch of smoke as he tries to get something that he wants. We'll just see. Pray for Canada, man. Pray for Canada tonight, and for the United States too, because things just don't seem right. And I'd say we're off to a rocky start. As much as I want to say positive things about the inauguration today, the most positive thing I found was Melania's outfit. And beyond that, I'm just worried. Just worried.
Oh, and the beautiful parades.
Yeah. So, folks, love you guys. You know, there are different issues all the time. Things come, things go. This is the issue at hand today. We don't have to agree on stuff. You can disagree with me all you want. Just make sure you come back tomorrow so that you can hate on me some more, because I'll be here at 7 p.m. Eastern, and you can pick me apart. And and when we have call-in shows again, the trolls can phone the way they always do, and take me to town on that. And the journey continues. So with that, let's sign off. What do you want to hear tonight, Dragon? Let's play him a tune.
Which one I want to hear? Blue Corvette.
Oh, you want the Corvette tune?
Mm-hmm.
Little Black Corvette. Where'd you go there, Vet song? I think we've still got it queued up.
Oh, by the
here.
way, I just want to tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
When you presented that other song the other night about memory lanes into your Mustang thing, I had a freaking cry out because it made me thought of my dad, and it's 72 Mustang, and I mean, Yeah, my dad has passed away a long time ago, but yeah,
Well,
it's I became nostalgia for some reason.
Well, do you want to run that one tonight? I love that song.
Let's go for that one.
Okay, let's go. Rolling Down Memory Lane.
We'll have a
That's the name of the song from Maverick and the News Brothers. And yeah, this takes us back, man. This is from a time when, yeah, Canada and the United States was getting along a whole lot better, and we were producing cars on both sides of the border, and without fighting so much. So this is Rolling Down Memory Lane, a tune about an old Mustang, a father and a son. Dragon.
The auto industry was what made us friends, I think, between the U.S. and the
Very much so. Very much so. Yes. Yeah. Back in the Henry Ford. Okay, here we go, folks. See you tomorrow. Love you. 7 p.m. Eastern on the flip side.
He started with nothing, just metal and a dream. Wrenches in his hand, a vision so pristine. Day after day, he'd work till the stars shine, building a machine, one of a kind. With grease on his fingers, fire in his eyes, he'd smile at that engine like it was alive. He'd say, son, one day this will be yours. But I never knew how much it meant until he closed those doors. Now I'm rolling down memory lane behind the wheel of that old Mustang. Every shift, every turn I feel him near. The sound of that engine, it's my dad I hear. Built with pride with his hands and his heart. Every drive brings me back to the start. In this dream car, he's never too far. I remember my dad every time I start. He taught me to drive, not just on the road, but through life's twists and turns and heavy loads. Now when I hit the gas and the tires start to sing, it's like he's riding shotgun with the wind under our wings. He's there in the chrome, in the roar of the gears, his laughter in the echoes, his wisdom through the years. This car ain't just metal, it's a piece of his soul. And every mile I ride, I feel it whole. Now I'm rolling down memory lane behind the wheel of that old Mustang. Every shift, every turn, I feel it near. The sound of that engine, it's my dad I hear. Built with pride with his hands and his heart. Every drive brings me back to the start. In this dream car, he's never too far. I remember my dad every time I start. Through the rain and the rust, it still shines so bright, like the love he put into every late night. And though he's gone, I know he's still here. In every curve of this car, I see him clear. Now I'm rolling down memory lane behind the wheel of that old Mustang. Every shift, every turn, I feel the near. The sound of that engine, it's my dad I hear. Built with pride with his hands and his heart. Every drive brings me back to the start. In this dream car, he's never too far. I remember my dad every time I start. Yeah, I remember my dad every time I start.